its vaccine trial.
The AstraZeneca news coming after the Federal Drug Administration Advisory Committee set a date of December 10th to discuss Pfizer's request for an emergency use authorization for its developing vaccine. And that's in addition to drug maker Moderna also waiting on approval with its vaccine candidate.
Fox's Laura Ingle, if the reviews go well, prioritized vaccinations could begin in mid-December, but mass distribution still wouldn't be expected to happen until next year. In the meantime, COVID crackdowns continue with a growing number of curfews. The latest order from California's governor facing pushback not only from the public, but law enforcement. Fox's William Lajeunesse.
At least 15 law enforcement agencies say they will not enforce the curfew, either because of other priorities like crime, they lack the resources, or because the law is so likely to be ignored, it becomes unenforceable. A similar response from police in Oregon, where Governor Kate Brown on Friday ordered a 2-week freeze on indoor and outdoor gatherings.
Under that Oregon rule, no more than 6 people from 2 unrelated households are supposed to be together at one time or place. A near total month-long lockdown will soon be ending, though, in the UK.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced that gyms and non-essential shops across England will be allowed to reopen next week when lockdown ends. Spectators will be allowed to return to some sporting events, and weddings and religious services will also resume.
Fox's Benjamin Hall, a new 3-tiered regional system, is supposed to be the next safety step. Several former Obama administration officials make the cut for a Biden administration as the president-elect prepares for an eventual transition. Some of today's choices would make history, including the first woman to lead the intelligence community, if Avril Haines is confirmed as DNI. America is listening to Fox News.
Eivät rerivetter COVID-19 rettuurin irisits, ekkio ravukora miat tsaab irisin. Igen mi vefi vorunga varsavai, kose votser koponna vorom neibom. Inke kai kie gaurruke kewesi sinerivetter, kose votser muttir kököri yriget ei, rerarrobuerisuk. Kossa puhutti-vuttiro, torjom kaasemmoniro, ive kopop kököri ekkeerier erinisireisemmun. Kosse votser sipotuuru ekkio ravukora, miekkio irmia pagapangiriisemmun. Atoavare firongiriakkaats, pori raivepoot, na vorong neivong ikä pure meive fiopsavai. Muttir naageotessi COVID-19 ikä pure meitsuurrievel meisemmun. Ammuttir ne föörie kierennis meipurinökoruk pangirivaravan arravas miirisin. Esiresin afittoosiriman jelu, aatsevo officein Micronesian Resource Center, Miekkio Staser City Joyce Broadcasting. Kirisso Tsapur.
A suspect is in custody after a deadly stabbing last night at a California church.
San Jose police say one man has been arrested after stabbing several people at Grace Baptist Church. 5 people were stabbed, 2 died, and 3 are expected to survive. Sergeant Christian Camareo says no religious service was taking place at the time.
It was a shelter-type situation. It doesn't have anything to do with the church itself or religious services. All, from what I understand, everyone that's involved, including victims and suspects, are somehow associated to the unhoused program they have here at the church.
Investigators have talked to about 30 witnesses, and they say they're still looking for a motive. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
After the Trump campaign requested a recount of the presidential ballots in Georgia, state elections officials have been working to finalize details of how and when that can be done. The results certified last week show Joe Biden beating the president by more than 12,000 votes, but that's out of about 5 million cast, which is within the range for the Trump campaign to have done what it did and requested the recount. A toy safety group is out with its annual list of potentially dangerous toys.
It's a 10 worst toys of the year list from the Boston-based group called WATCH, which stands for Worlds Against Toys Causing Harm. Some of them are on the list as choking hazards, like the Calico Critters Nursery Friend and the My Sweet Love Lots to Love Babies Minis. Others, according to the group, can cause injury through aggressive play, like the WWE Jumbo Superstar Fist, Star Wars Mandalorian Darksaber, and the Marvel Avengers Vibranium Power FX Claw. Pushing back is the Toy Association, which represents manufacturers and calls the list alarmist. It says in a statement, all toys sold in the U.S. meet rigorous safety tests and standards. Chris Foster, Fox News.
An hour to the close on Wall Street, a big rally. The Dow's up 375. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer staycation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,900 by calling Family Finance. Agana 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo at 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959. Go green, go hybrid, go to Nanbo Insurance, and your next power bill is on us. Insure your hybrid car at Nanbo and get up to $350 towards your next power bill. That's instant savings for keeping our island clean and green. Nanbo has been providing Guam with over 50 years of reliable and affordable auto insurance. At Nanbo, it pays to go green. Terms and conditions apply. Visit nanbo.com or call 477-9754 for details.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
Half a day, it's 6:06. I'm Mona Silva Tyron with a look at your local news here on The Point. Not guilty on all counts. That verdict from the jury in the Mark Torrey Jr. trial yesterday. The verdict after 4 days of deliberations, bringing an end to the trial that spanned over the last 5 years. Torrey was charged in the 2015 shooting death of fellow police officer Sergeant Bert Piolo. Torrey had undergone trial once before and had successfully appealed the outcome of the first case, in that he had been sentenced to 8 years in prison for negligent homicide, aggravated assault, and the special allegations. The verdict overturned, though, and Torrey allowed to take the matter back to court. This latest trial has ended with Torrey being acquitted on all charges. Nebraska police are investigating a fatal shooting at a Sonic drive-in, and one of the victims in that shooting has ties to Guam. As reported in national news, the suspect's been arrested, but details still being ironed out. The incident happened on Saturday at the drive-thru in Bellevue. 2 people were killed and 2 others hospitalized. One of those in the hospital with gunshot wounds is an 18-year-old Zoe Reese Atilik Lujan. Police say they received a call about reports of a possible bomb inside a moving truck in the parking lot of the Sonic drive-thru. When they arrived at the scene, they found 4 victims with gunshots. The 23-year-old shooter has been identified as Roberto Carlos Silva Jr. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of arson. 53 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported today. That's out of 773 tests that were conducted. That brings the total COVID-19 cases to 6,602. Guam has seen 106 deaths. There are currently 1,605 people in active isolation. Now, as of yesterday's report from the Joint Information Center, the COVID area risk score is 9. The lower score followed the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention advisory that says that travelers should avoid all travel to Guam. The CAR score, developed by Felix Cabrera, to identify the rate of spread of the coronavirus. The administration shooting for a CAR score of 5 before the governor considers lifting any pandemic restrictions. Well, yet another government agency has been hit by the coronavirus. Bureau of Budget Management Research will be closed until further notice due to an employee there testing positive. The office will be sanitized and all of the staff will be tested. The BBMR office, you might know, is located at Adelup. And in response to the outbreak of the COVID-19 spread in the island's prison, DOC will be installing 3 military-grade tents for prisoners who test positive. These tents will be used for isolation facilities. DOC yesterday identified 62 more prisoners who've tested positive. There have now been 164 prisoners who've tested positive. A number of guards have also tested positive for COVID-19. We'll have more news right after this.
Win a staycation getaway with 76 Circle K. Enter to win a 2-night stay in the luxurious Tsubaki Tower with breakfast at the Casa Oceano and an hour of pure bliss at the Spa Ayala for 2. And then choose your adventure. A 3-hour ocean escapade with Shut Up and Fish, the premier ocean tour service, or take a heart-pounding water adventure and go jet skiing with Joe's Jet Ski. Just purchase $30 or more in fuel at 76 Circle K for a chance to win. Visit 76 Circle K today and win the staycation of a lifetime. Conditions apply. See store for details.
DOE and mayors will be distributing food this week. They have 1,300 bags of food commodities that will be issued from the mayor's offices. Today, they'll be at the Ordot Chalampago mayor's office starting at 9. They'll be there until noon. And then in Santa Rita, they'll be there today and tomorrow from 1 to 5. And then at the Agate mayor's office tomorrow beginning at 10. Well, COVID-19 relief fund reports reveal dismal allocations to public health. That's from a press release from the office of Senator Therese Terlahi. The vice speaker now demanding the administration to prioritize the remaining $41 million in CARES Act funding for public health and the hospital. The release states that the CARES Act expenditure report shows a disappointing amount for both the public health and hospitals, which are at the front line. The report also raises questions with regard to the expenditures to the executive branch for COVID payroll. She says it's perplexing that the lead agencies and most critical services vital to our health, safety, and overall success against the coronavirus have been the least prioritized with this funding. She's now urging the administration to prioritize the remaining $41 million in CARES funding to public health and GMH. She says anything less is unconscionable. And those are your top stories here on The Point. Here's Ray with your weather.
Thank you very much. 6:11 in the morning. Which one do I have?
Brandon.
Brandon's on the line. Hold
Weather
on.
Wonder Twins.
So we got to get this started here today because everybody freaked out. Now, what was in the weather forecast yesterday? We told everybody there were going to be thunderstorms, right?
Yeah.
We said it's going to be raining and snotty and thunderstorms. And just because it wasn't raining and snotty and thunderstormy at 10 o'clock in the morning when we left didn't mean that was going to go away. So I'm on Facebook yesterday, and everybody is freaking out because it rained a lot. And I'm like, wow, we didn't know. All right, well, here's the deal. We got Brandon, who's the better-looking twin of the Wonder Twins over at the National Weather Service. Good morning, Brandon. How you doing?
Good morning, Ray. I'm doing all right. Just finishing up the morning forecast package and working on my discussion and trying to put everything into perspective for the next week and a half, what we're expecting.
All right. So, Brandon, let me, in a nutshell, what happened yesterday? Because even I remarked, because the wind and the rain woke me up. It was coming from the wrong direction and making certain windows in the house rattle, which is very, very rare. And I was surprised at the amount of rain that was falling, and the amount of rain that had flooded into some interesting pictures from down south and even the Harmon Industrial Park. What happened?
Yeah, well, we had one of those not too frequent patterns where we have all the surface features. We got a surface trough passing through the Marianas, and then we've got an upper level low that is helping to increase that rising motion in the atmosphere. And when we have those two put together in such a way as yesterday, we see these convective events really unfolding. Most of the times we don't have both of those ingredients put together. But yesterday it worked out in one of those rare fashions that we just had these heavy showers. They started up near Saipan and Tinian. They had 42-mile-per-hour wind gusts early in the morning.
Wow. And
then all these showers, it kind of fell along a gust front. So heavy showers up in Tinian and Saipan creates a kind of a outflowing gust boundary. And that kind of initiated additional convection that by the time it reached down to Rota and then to Guam, we had a pretty well-pronounced bow echo. It looks like kind of like a bow and arrow, one of those arches. Mm-hmm. And when you see those, that indicates strong winds. And looking at the radar data, looking at some of the lingering data in our system right now, is showing winds in the 50-knot range. And that's exactly what we saw at the airport and the Anderson Air Force Base observations. And then with the shear pattern, the upper-level winds, it continues to bring these heavy showers over parts of the island and unfortunately leads to some of that major flooding that we saw out of Umatic and Mauricio area.
Yeah. There was some heavy stuff. So we had winds in excess of 50 miles an hour. Any indication of about how much rain fell yesterday?
Well, I was starting to pull together some of the our observations, but then also some supplemental rain gauges and personal weather sites that are displayed on the internet around the island, and try to get a full picture of what's going on. But looking at some of the USGS rain gauges, there's 8 of them around the island. Right now I'm seeing anywhere from 2 to 3.5 inches of rain for the 24-hour period of yesterday, what seems unusually low for the amount of flooding. So we're going to be looking at some other data and try to find out. First, we're going to vet the rain gauge data just to make sure it's reliable, and then try to paint a full picture. One that sticks out in my mind was August 27th and then September 13th. We had some notable convective rain events that led to some flooding. And again, I want to piece the picture together to see what really unfolded, and then try to get a true story of what the impacts were for yesterday's weather.
Amazing! We're talking about the weather-related detective work that's going on right now, and to me, it's kind of fascinating. I think to the listeners that are going, okay, well, he kind of lost me when he started talking about bow echoes. I understand. Don't worry about it. Here's the question: is this going to happen again today? What time?
Well, I was actually putting that into my discussion right now, but we're looking at not as favorable conditions. What we're seeing now is we're still somewhat stabilized from yesterday. We had all that heavy rain, all that the strong winds is pretty much the collapse of all of that deep convection of showers and thunderstorms. It created this smaller scale, a strong wind event. And it finally started letting up overnight. But right now we're still seeing 25 to 30 mile per hour winds, just a couple thousand feet above the ground. And so later on today, as we start seeing some clouds decrease from the early morning hours, we could still see some more showers and thunderstorms developing, mainly for near Guam and closer to Rota. Tinian and Saipan, they've already seen some dry air starting to punch in from the east. And we'll start seeing some drier air coming in by Wednesday. But otherwise, today expect to see mostly cloudy skies, scatter showers and thunderstorms. Still some gusts up to 25 miles per hour. But otherwise, we're not expecting such severe wind speeds as we did yesterday.
And not as much by way of rain and flooding, although it is possible in some of these, whatever the bigger thunderstorms are. There's a lot of inundation going on and a lot of congestion with the water. It's already soaked into the dirt, and there's not a whole lot of places for it to go, so it'll just run off on the surface.
Yep, so keep that in mind with any other showers that come over the island today. It may not take as much rainfall to lead to some quick flooding areas. But ultimately, right now, all the heaviest showers and thunderstorms remain about 80 to 100 miles south of Guam. And so it's very, very rainy well down there, but fortunately, that's all open ocean.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at the map right now, the current satellite imagery that we've got for the Western Pacific, and there's a whole lot of snottiness that is south of Guam, and I normally wouldn't pay much attention to it, but it looks like it's all of that weather pattern seems to be moving northward towards the Mariana Islands.
Yeah, well, that is the upper level flow. So actually this morning for the past several hours, we've had kind of a consistent light rain. Yeah. And that's the effect of all those thunderstorms down to the south. The upper level winds are pushing those higher clouds over the islands. And so that's giving us just kind of a light, moderate rain, but the heavier torrential rains are staying well south. And that's one of the things we've been seeing in the infrared satellite and the radar imagery.
Always good to know.
Deeper cores are staying well south, and they're kind of moving around, but not really coming into the Guam waters, which extend out to 40 miles to our south.
Well, let me touch on that real quick. There is a high risk of rip currents through Saturday now along east-facing reefs. It was already there even before the heavy winds and the rain started yesterday. Is this going to be a feature that sticks around for a while?
I think so. We were looking at some of the buoy data, the wind data, and right now we're shaping up to be a fairly windy week with east winds between 15 to 20 miles per hour through the week. And of course, you could see some upper envelope wind gusts around 25 miles per hour at times. But by Wednesday, we're going to be it's going to look like a dry season pattern for the rest of the week.
Oh, happy to. Well, when you say dry, I'm thinking two things. Number one, it's not going to rain. And number two, we are moving into that time of year where we're going to start to get more dry air. I mean, cooler, drier, less humid air coming into the region. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Of course, I say tenuous dry pattern because we're still pretty moist. Looking at some of the data that we're collecting from our balloon soundings every day, we're still in a pretty moist atmosphere, so it doesn't take much of an atmospheric dynamic to squeeze out some showers. So we're going to be generally drier and pleasantly breezy. Right now, Thanksgiving Day looks fairly dry.
Nice.
It's going to be breezy, so I know the directors are stating for people to congregate outdoors if you're going to be meeting with people. So make sure those tents and canopies are securely fastened, especially anytime when we have these winds.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of people that did some running outside of the restaurants in a panic yesterday to make sure that everything was battened down. 20 after 6 o'clock in the morning. Brandon, always a pleasure talking with you. Always interesting. Now, there was some nice sunset last night, some absolutely groovy sunset. And the question is, do you think we'll get something like that again today?
Oh, yeah, that's. I don't think we're going to get quite as spectacular as last night. Last night we had that golden hue, and then it kind of turned to a nice pink with purple and obscured. We're going to get a decent sunset as long as we don't have major thunderstorms off to the west that obscures the sunset. But as long as there's some breaks, and right now I'm looking at the possibility of some breaks in those clouds, be ready to have those cameras on hand.
Always good to know. Brandon, I'll talk to you pretty soon. Have an outrageous day. 20 after 6 o'clock in the morning. And for sunset tonight, it's going to be at 5:50. Hashtag tell the others. Only other thing that you need to know, because I think you touched on everything, heat index today is going to feel like about 90 degrees. That's news and weather together. Brought to you by Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 66 years.
Here's an important message to federal employees and annuitants from Take Care. Given the extraordinary challenges presented this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this year's open season is like no other in the way you'll access information and choose a plan. Open season runs from November 9 through December 14. Exciting changes are being made across all Take Care plan options to expand access to care. To learn more, visit www.takecareasia.com/openseason20 or call 647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Are you fed up with those long bank lines? Do you wish you had a bank who gave you faster service? Well, by enrolling in Bank Pacific's new mobile app, you don't even need to wait in line. But even if you do want to come down in person, we're more than happy to see your smiling face, as long as you have a mask. Because our service is so good, we don't believe in lines. Because for 66 years, we've been making sure you get the service you deserve. Because where others put branches, we place roots. And we're rooting for you. Member FDIC.
Yes. Rooting toot for me as well. Tony, 2 after 6 o'clock in the morning. And portions of the program brought to you by KFC. What's at KFC? Breakfast is waiting for you over at KFC. And they're happy to cook it up for you any way you want to. We've got the chicken fried steak, waffles, and sausage. You need something wet in there, maybe something soupy. How about the Colonel's chicken congee? That's basically Addis Caldo KFC style. And I got a couple of wraps that I think you're going to really enjoy. The sausage breakfast wrap and the chicken breakfast wrap. Buy over $6. Get some free stuff to try out for your next visit. The Colonel's chicken fried rice, hash browns, and iced coffee, all available for free with your purchase over $6. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by APL American President Lines, a global presence with a local home.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Sorry, just checking out some of the outrageous quotes already this morning on Facebook Live. James Howard says, just tell us the truth about the aliens, Landon, if that's really your name. Actually, that was Brandon. That was Brandon. They sound alike, look generally alike, all of that stuff. And I never know which one I'm talking to.
That was good when you said you're the handsome one.
Well, of course you'd think so, because you know he's got you and the boys have got the same hairstyle. So it's like that. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. As usual, thrilled to be here with you today because it's what are we at Friday yet? Have we hit Friday? How about Wednesday?
Oh my gosh! I forgot to put out the trash.
Oh, it's not Wednesday.
Boy, it's
okay.
Tuesday
It's
for
Tuesday.
Me.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
on your side of the street.
I forgot.
Okay,
I gotta go.
Unfortunately, there's children at the house that know how to do that. They have the skills. It's not. They put wheels on the carts. The wheels on the carts go round and round, round and round.
Yeah.
But the thing is I kept reminding myself as I was making my way out the door to put the trash onto the street and just completely slipped my mind.
But we've talked about this. There's no reason to actually follow through on anything anymore in 2020 because it doesn't make any difference. I mean, tomorrow is going to come, and if your trash gets,
I'll bring it to your house.
Exactly. Just bring the trash over to my place. Somebody will pick it up.
Down the road this car.
You know, it's in my head, right? In the car right now. There are two coffee tureens, right? The coffee things for the morning show. I've got the one from Nissan. I've got the one that I had before that.
Yeah.
And they're both in the car. And I was trying to remind myself, as Mona did yesterday, bring the coffee deals out of the car, wash them so you can use them for the morning show tomorrow.
Yeah.
Still in the car.
What?
Yeah. So I got this is the one that Wen got me for Christmas last year. It's the one that says The Point, got the logo on it, and so this may be in the car tomorrow as well. I might be a thing from 76 Circle K tomorrow because I won't have anything to put my coffee in. And you know what? It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
You giving up, man?
Yeah. Just what you know. And here's the thing. And this is the thing, is I'm waiting for us to get to 5.
We're close.
We're close.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're at 9.
Is it 9 today?
Yeah.
You sure? Wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, 9.
Are you fact-checking me?
I'm fact-checking you. So at the rate that we are going, because remember, we were at like 41 this time last week.
Yeah, I had no idea how we got there.
None whatsoever. I don't know. And how we get from there, we say like 15 yesterday, right?
Yeah,
15 points. And now it's 9.
We're doing really good.
At this rate, tomorrow we'll be at 4.5.
So whatever it is that you're doing, just keep doing it.
Pythagorean theorem, like you said.
I don't know. How this is all working, what the calculus is, but it seems to be going in the right direction. So never mind. Here's my point, and I even named the show this today. It's never mind. Never mind. Strive for 5. I'm fine at 9. I'd be great at 8. We'd be in heaven at 7.
Oh God!
You want to keep going? You can do it.
No.
You can't. But here's the thing. So at this rate, like I said, we ought to be at 4.5 tomorrow with the car score because the numbers did just keep falling. So what happens when we get to 4.5? What happens? And we're there for a while.
That's the question.
Does that mean that do we end the public health emergency?
Don't know.
Can
the
we
rules
go to
change.
PCOR 2? What?
Island-wide
The rules
streaking.
will change.
The
All right,
rules
so
will change.
that's the
because initially, you were told that
initially
you
it was
get to
2
5,
weeks
we'll
to flatten
consider
the curve.
lifting. We'll consider lifting the pandemic restrictions, but it doesn't mean that they will be lifted.
Yeah. Right. So and nobody trusts. I don't trust. So that if we get to 5, what's the payoff here?
Maybe we'll keep it at 5 for several weeks, at 3 weeks in a row, and then we'll move into.
Who knows? I don't know. There's no plan. There's nothing written down other than hey, strive for 5. So we're apparently moving in the right direction. But what happens when we get there? What happens when we get to the end of the rainbow here? Is they're going and it's 5 for a couple of weeks and everybody's happy and Felix Cabrera is not frowny face anymore and the governor's not frowny face anymore. So what happens? What is our reward for doing it right? Or is this it's just going to be like this forever?
I say move the goalpost.
So we're in agreement
Well,
then.
we did sort of something like this before. Remember, we were considering the positivity rate,
right?
And when we get it to a low enough number, then we'll consider lifting the pandemic restrictions. Then we got to the low enough number, and then we're going to get through. Let's see if we can get 3 weeks of this consistent low number, and then we'll start lifting.
Right.
So I'm assuming that it's going to be the
January.
same with this car score, whatever that is.
I don't know.
I feel really stupid every time I try to figure out what the car score.
Because you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. You're just we play one on the radio, but you're not a doctor, and that's something that only doctors. You have to go to doctor school to understand the car score.
Tom Shea doesn't even know what the car score is.
You got to put a board up with pins and lines and ropes and stuff, and you might figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. So here's the thing: is we're going to get to 5.
I don't want to be a naysayer. I'm not that person. You are. But
I am.
I know.
I am, because I don't trust these people. We've moved the goalpost 18 times in 9 months.
I want to understand it. I mean, I'm sure I represent a bunch of people who want to understand what it is so that we can do better to follow it.
Yeah. And it doesn't make any difference. We're going to get there, and then nothing is going to happen. There's going to be another extension of the public health emergency, and there's still going to be lockdowns, and there's still going to be quarantine for arriving passengers, and all of that stuff. I don't hold out any hope or trust anybody in the government of Guam that things are going to change just because we got to 5. Something else is going to come, and there's going to be more fear porn floating around somewhere, and they're going to say, out of an abundance of caution, Christmas is canceled. 6:29 in the morning. Whoa, it's 6:29 already? I didn't even start talking about the people on the face. You know why? Because we spent a lot of time with the Brandon on the radio. But one thing I do want to talk about is the great sunset that we had last night. This is an early image from Michelle Armenta's phone when she was taking pictures yesterday. I've got some. There's some other great ones. Sarah Garin.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. You look so pretty today. Sarah. And Lizelle Renee.
Oh yeah.
They had some great ones. Sarah had one that was like a time lapse, and I've asked her this morning to send it to me, but she has not yet sent it to me on the WhatsApp.
Were you out there when this went down?
No. You know what? I wasn't expecting anything. I was driving to my speakeasy.
Yeah.
I was driving to my speakeasy, and the sun had just made its way down the mountains. I was coming down Roy T. Demion, and I could see the sun, and it went finally behind Mount Aludum, and I thought, well, that's it for the day, and I got a Marine Corps drive, was heading northbound. Okay, the fewer details, the better, because I don't want anybody knowing about my speakeasy. And by the time I got to the place, the sun was already to my back. I wasn't paying any attention to the sky because it hadn't gone spooky yet.
Yeah.
And so here is my explanation on that, and it has nothing to do with what was happening up in the sky, and the weather that we had yesterday has nothing to do with that. You know what it had everything to do with?
What?
Our Blessed Mother is mad. The Blessed Virgin is mad at us because they've changed the thing for the Feast of the Immaculate Conception.
December 8th.
Because I love it when we're cruising with Mary.
Yeah.
So as a sign of her displeasure, number one, she made it rain cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right.
And then after that, the sky turns blood red.
It did.
It did. I'm serious.
I got scared when I walked outside.
That's what. Oh, we were
thought it was the end of days.
Was it somebody? Somebody said, "Is this the beginning of the 3 days of darkness?"
Thought my eyeballs had sepia.
The sun goes. It did have that weird kind of golden.
Right?
Yeah. I know what
Freaked
you're
me
talking about. So I'm just saying that we better reconsider all of the conversations that we've had because that's why the weather got bad yesterday. That's why the sky turned blood red yesterday. It was a sign from Our Lady of Cameron that she is upset with the changes. She doesn't want to do this drive-by thing. She wants the procession. That's what she's used to, and that's what she is clamoring for, and that's why we got the weather that we have. COVID, forget about that. Otherwise, that's the warning. I'm serious now. You think I'm not, but that's the warning from upon high that if we don't change it back, maybe there's going to be worse weather in December, and it's happened before. Just saying. 6:32 in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show. I'll tell you what. We'll get around to yakking about who's on the Facebook, but first we'll find out what the other big stories are with Montesilva Tyrant.
Not guilty on all counts. That's the verdict in the Mark Torrey Jr. trial yesterday. After 4 days of deliberation, the jury came back with the not guilty verdict, bringing an end to the trial that spanned over the last 5 years. Torrey had been charged with the 2015 shooting death of Sergeant Bert Piolo. 53 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported. That's out of 773 tests that were conducted. That brings the island's total to 6,602 since testing started in March. Guam has seen 106 deaths. And BBMR is the latest government agency to close as a result of COVID-19. An employee there tested positive. The entire staff will now be tested and the office will be sanitized. BBMR office, as you know, is located at Adaloop. And place your order now for Linda's. The restaurant will be closing this Saturday, the 28th. Circulation was being made throughout social media yesterday that the restaurant will be closing. The property, as we told you yesterday, has been sold to Dave Lujan. And those are your top stories here on The Point.
Is there something that can be done about this?
Oh, man,
the closure.
I know.
You know, I'm feeling one of those.
We'll hire the cooks.
I'm feeling one of those Beat Street breakdown kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have a street dance and save Linda's.
Yeah,
that's what we need. We'll have a street dance and breakdancing competition right out there.
That was all over the chats last night on WhatsApp.
Man.
People crying about it. Yeah.
See, we ordered Linda's this weekend. Picked up the fried chicken and took it.
But this was before you knew what was happening, right?
Yeah, we had no idea, and then we just went over to Paseo and sat in the parking lot and ate it.
Yeah. Well, you can eat in the back. There's a nice little place in the back over at, if you're into East Agania kind of outdoor dining, there is something that you can do. They've got these patio tables out in the back of the place. But at any rate, so what started yesterday as well, it's going to be under new management. Now it sounds that for something else. Vince Borja, in fact, had shared that story about how it was flat going out of business. So you better make your orders today while you still can get that kind of Ajinomoto flavor in virtually everything that they cook. It's 6:34 in the morning. That's news and weather together. Coming up, we'll yak about all kinds of things on my table of contents and more on the Ray Gibson Show.
We all need to fight COVID-19, and we need all the weapons we can get to beat it. Your smartphone can be one of the most powerful tools to battle this pandemic. The Guam COVID Alert Exposure Notification app can let you know if you've been exposed to someone who has the virus. Add your phone to the COVID fight by going to guamcovidalert.guam.gov or download it from the App Store or Google Play now. Help Guam stop COVID-19.
Okay. How about now? Now's a good time. Right on. Portions of a program brought to you by Subway, and they want you to eat fresh, and they want you to eat something brand new. It's a barbecue chicken deal that they've got, a chicken sandwich that you can get. Recommendations, go ahead and get a foot long of that. Get another foot long of something else for only $5. But the barbecue chicken is, you got the barbecue chicken, put it on your favorite bread, a little bit of mayonnaise, mustard, but not a whole lot because you don't want to drown out the flavor of the barbecue in there. That's why you're going there. Try that with some vegetables, all your favorites, at Subway. Barbecue chicken sandwich waiting for you. Ray Gibson Show, also brought to you by Nissan. Yes, now is the time for a new Nissan. That's so important. They wrote it down 3 times. Look at the script. Now, you can't see it. Now is the time for a new Nissan. They will make your first 3 payments, financing as low as 1.99%. Brand new Nissans will start as low as $84 a pay period. Models include the Armada, the Pathfinder, and check out J.D. Power's highest in initial quality in the midsize SUV segment. It's the Murano. Premium finishes with innovative tech. You're going to love the mileage. You're going to love everything about this. So check it out today over at Nissan. See Stanley Hallers, Chris Leonin, and Jefferson Valencia for test drive opportunities.
Everyone has a busy schedule these days, and sometimes we forget to schedule our routine dental checkup and cleaning. Don't neglect your dental health. Schedule one today with Dr. Robert Yang and his Smile team, conveniently located at the East West Business Center on Marine Drive, Upper Tumon. Call us today at 647-8702 or 3. Again, that's 647-8702 or 647-8703. We make smiles happen.
Yeah, did you see that sunset picture that I put up on the screen? That was Rico B's picture from last night, and he's got the perch, he's got the lookout. You can see the sun starting to make its way down. This was either before or after it went red here, because you got the pastels out in the sky.
Rico's in jail?
No, I don't think that's
that's
jail.
not prison.
No, I
sorry.
don't think that's.
My bad.
You're talking about the COVID prison. No, I think that for that we'd need to go to James Howard. Now, I think I've already put a James Howard picture up on the screen. Anyway, 6:37. Let me take a quick look at what's happening on your roadways. It's time to take a look at the traffic gizmo. There is traffic here, usually some light intersection traffic. Drive to the conditions. As Brandon, the guy from the Weather Service here this morning says, we've got a light drizzle through most of the island over the last 24 hours. Since the heavy rains yesterday, never really stopped. So what we've got for you is some wet road conditions virtually everywhere. Please drive to those conditions, seat belts on, maybe some lights. Today's a good day to figure out the int. The int on your windshield wiper, it's either off, and then there's an int, and then it's, on low. So the int has a little dial thing on it, and now is the time to figure out just what setting it needs to be on, so it's not on all the time. Right, but it's not off all the time. So just enough so that while you get enough droplets on the screen, it'll wipe it away and then go away for a couple of minutes and then come back. You want to figure that out here this morning. 6:38. That's Right Now traffic on The Point.
As we celebrate Thanksgiving this year in a very different way, the team at Security Title has been busy focusing on the things that we are grateful for. Without exception, our gratitude starts with the love of family and the faith in the future of our island. We are grateful for the meaningful work supporting our realtors, lenders, buyers and sellers, and other partners in the real estate industry. From the Security Title family, we wish you and yours a very blessed Thanksgiving.
Oh, 6:39. Thanks, Kim. I appreciate that. Turn your stay at home to tasty at home with Cold Stone Creamery. One up your Thanksgiving feast with unique and freshly made signature ice cream, cakes, pies, and to-go containers. Try them with the limited pumpkin flavors as well. Order online today because supplies are limited at ordercoldstone.com or give them a call. Open Thanksgiving Day from 10 to 2. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
Rediscover Talk Radio here. Your FM News Talk Superstation. This is The Point.
In 20 minutes, it'll be 7 o'clock in the morning, the Ray Gibson Show, until it's not going to be any more items in the table of contents. As I said, the car score is at 9 today. Yes, the car score is at 9 and falling. Are we going to make 4.5 tomorrow? Are we going to get close? Now that just I can feel it. By Thanksgiving we'll be at 5, and then if we stay at the car for a little while, a week, 2 weeks, I don't know, something like that, then we can go ahead and send the kids back to school. Open the restaurant so we can eat inside and not eat outside in the middle of what felt like a typhoon yesterday. Can we do something like that? How about get the bars open so Tom Pinoff can drop his case over at the district court? How about we make it so that you can go inside of a store without waiting in line? Without waiting in line. I told you I went to Payless the other day, right? Sunday morning. I'm walking around the parking lot, and I'm waiting until the very last second to put my mask on. And over there, like right there, is because they don't have those little the little garages for shopping carts at the mighty Payless, right? Yeah. So people generally just kind of leave them by their car and then they drive away. And so there was a what do you call it, push cart, just kind of right there. And so I grabbed it. And God bless him, the guy that works at Payless, his job is to corral all of the shopping carts, right? Yeah. He says, "Oh, sir, I'm sorry, that's not sanitized."
Oh, that's right.
And I looked at him. I said, "I don't care." And I thought he was going to have a heart attack. These, young guys, like he's in his 20s or something like that. Why you mean you don't quit? You don't care? And I said, "I don't care." Because it just doesn't matter. I'm not believing in this kind of thing, and I don't think I'm susceptible to it. And even if it was held by somebody who didn't sanitize it when they were done, chances are pretty good. The guy that was shopping with it before probably had fairly clean hands because everybody is hand sanitizing these days. So it's a secondary. Everything doesn't need to be sanitized every single time a human being comes into contact with it, right?
It's OCD.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out.
How are you feeling over there, Mana?
I'm feeling. So I'm eating beetle net just before the show starts, and I get a little bit of piece of beetle net stuck in the throat place. You know the spot. So I'm coughing, and Mana's like, "Stop it, COVID-19, COVID-19, stop it." I'm like, "No, Mana, it's beetle net. Do I need to spit it out and show you? Look,
I love how she does that.
Beetle net and
Corona.
My God. Anyway,
I sneeze down the hallway.
So like I said, we're at car score 9, and we'll be at 5 before too much longer, and then nothing is going to change. When it doesn't change, just go, Ray was right. They move the goalposts at will. We're going to come up with some phony baloney, cockamamie number, and give everybody hope, give everybody some kind of encouragement that if we do it right, if we buckle down, If we knuckle down, we can beat the COVID-19 if we just strive for 5. So watch when we get to 5, and then we're there for a couple of weeks. Nothing changes. 6:43 in the morning. All right, so I haven't had a chance to do this yet, but let me just talk about some of the more amazing people that contribute so much to this program.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. You want to go where people know people are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
It's true, and everybody does know each other's name around here. It's like being at Bank of Guam on payday. You see everybody that you know. And because it's COVID-19 and everybody's wearing a mask, you can pretend like you don't know them. You know, you just can.
It's hard to get away with that, man. It's like people recognize you.
I guess. Just when we start talking, I got to, or if they recognize me because of what I'm wearing. If I'm wearing the DEH hat, everybody knows that it's me. So, Uwe got says, as usual, it says Rico Blancaflor and Pam Duvall and other people are watching. And those other people include Marlou Berseman, James Howard, Ponch San Jose, Nuke is there, Kenneth Polino, I got Gerald Young, Perlita Delamar Garcia saying, Buenos Den Day to everybody. Alfred Cabo is there, and Anteta Lihun saying, good morning, Ray and all. Auntie Bennett, Lohan Duenas from over at Family Finance, Valerie Tanodra are watching, Cheryl Ochai, Carmen Ngakta Guzman, and wait a second, Manny and Ning Rages. Hafa Yuka Artero, nice to have you there. Rudy Gaza, John Ray Titano, Bill Cruz, and EJ Wanta is watching on the program. That's always nice to get a new name there. CT Guam, Heather Perez, Dak Lee, Peter Lozano. I got Joe Cepeda. That's Coach Joe from tennis fame here on Guam.
Morning, Coach.
Well, good to have you online here this morning. And let me see, Lorna Cabe Nicholas is there, and so is Lady D, Herman Santos, John Mirasalis, Oliva J. Lujan catching the program here. Gary Sean Alls. Gary, congratulations on that virtual. What they do? Virtual ultra marathon. Did you see that? Over the last couple of days, I think Daily Post or somebody did this massive write-up. So I guess Gary and a whole bunch of other people over at the gym getting together for an ultra marathon. And I tell you, I don't think I could have done it. I know physically I could have done it.
Is it all at one time or over a span of
I think they did it all at one time. It's a 50-some-odd mile run around the island of Guam, and but kind of the virtual were together, kind of I don't know, everybody was socially distanced as they did the thing, but somebody asked me, I said, are you running fast? I said, I haven't run fast all year long, and the reason is I'm just not motivated. Everyone's, we get this virtual 5K that you can do, virtual this, and it's not the same unless you got a rabbit in front of you and you can catch that rabbit and then catch the next rabbit on top of that. Nick Perlaska is there. Who's on one?
Oh, that's Miss Carrera from DPHSS.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, that's early. Okay, let me get it.
Well, I called her.
I'll get to the other names here in just a second. Good morning, Janella, and how are you?
Oh, good morning, Ray. I'm doing great. How are you?
Not bad at all. Just a couple of things that I was kind of curious about here this morning, and that is the car score is at 9 today.
Yeah. Well.
So I'm at the. Do we really need to strive for 5, or can we be fine with 9?
That's a great question. I mean, the goal, the governor's goal is 5.
Well, at the rate we're going, I mean, it's been halving. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I mean, it's almost halving every time that we look at it. It was 15 yesterday, and now it's 9. I'm thinking tomorrow we could be around 5, 4.5, maybe 5.1 or something like that. And the question that I've got is, if we get there, how long do we have to be there before we stop declaring the state of emergency? When can we return to normalcy and lock everything down over at DPHSS, et cetera?
Well, so, the CAR score is really developed by the Physicians Advisory Group. That's more a policy that's at the governor's office level. It wasn't developed by public health. So, I think that's more of a question geared towards the governor's office and perhaps, the Physicians Advisory Group, maybe Dr. Felix Cabrera would be better prepared to answer that question. it's not really a public health.
Well, I thought you guys were all talking to each other.
No, we definitely are. You know, in the JIC, I'm part of the JIC. You know, it's a score that we include in our JIC. But in terms of developing the policy for it and the decision making behind, you know, when do we lift restrictions or ease restrictions, you know, that's something I think they, you know, in terms of making that decision, you know, I think that's something perhaps maybe Crystal or.
Well, I'll keep reaching out to people because I am curious as to how it's supposed to happen. But is it possible now? Because I'm listening to you here, and I can hear not so much silos, but I can hear that, you know, we've got these people over here that make this decision. There's a physicians advisory group, and then there's public health. Is it possible that the physicians advisory group could look at it and say, okay, we're at 5, we've been at 5 for a while. Maybe it's time that we start releasing you know, some of the restrictions that we have and have Christmas and New Year's and eat inside and open up the bar so I can get my chicken wings and all of that. But is it possible that they may say that, but somebody over at Public Health may countermand that and say, but we still have these issues here at Zero Down. We've still got these issues here at DYA and the Department of Corrections, and so we're not out of it yet. I'm just trying to figure out when we may pass a goalpost without it moving.
I see what you're saying. Well, I think, you know, when we hit that 5, and if we can maintain it, you know, because the CAR score is based on, I think it's like 3 main factors, and it's actually based on data that's provided by Public Health as well. So, you know, it all kind of comes together as one score. So it'd be kind of counterproductive if Public Health was giving you that data and then we come and say, well, no, you know, don't do this. You know, and if we can maintain that number of 5, I think, you know, the governor would be inclined to you know, ease those restrictions. And you know, when Crystal and I were talking yesterday and doing interviews, you know, the governor, she indicated that the governor may want to, you know, perhaps ease restrictions to increase the number of social gatherings to maybe 10, you know, by Christmas time, if we can maintain it at a level of 5.
To what degree do you know whether or not there is going to be enforcement of the guidelines for Thanksgiving? Because I was kind of looking at those yesterday, and I honestly can't think of a lot of families here on Guam that will be able to live within some of these guidelines. They seem to be kind of prohibitive, asking people to bring their own food and drinks and plates and cups and utensils, and no more than 5 people who don't live in the household for outdoor meals. I mean, that's just not the Guam way, unfortunately. How much enforcement do you think there's going to be? Are the cops going to be out there? Will there be DEH guys looking at people's houses to make sure they're in compliance?
You know, if you're indoors, one thing I want to make clear is that, you know, public health, the police, we cannot enter your property. We cannot go inside of your home. Yeah, you still have constitutional rights. Unless we have a warrant to search your property, we cannot enter your home. I want to make that very clear. So that is not going to happen. To the extent that we can, you know, go drive by your house and talk to you and you know, warn you about what the directives are and the executive order states. And help guide you, and just kind of give you recommendations. That's probably all we can do from, you know, a safe distance.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking. So not so much for me, but I know like in other parts of the island where you've got like Karens that live in the neighborhood, and they're going to see somebody down the street that's having a barbecue, and there's lots of cars parked on the road, and they're going to call 311, or they're going to call the police and say you got to come by and do something about it. Is that something that is going to be a priority for the Department of Public Health and GPD?
Sure. I mean, in terms of priority, I mean, if we're able to come and, you know, put a stop to it, you know, mayor's offices can also be involved and, you know, come by and make recommendations and advise the neighbors in the neighborhood and advise the families, you know, gathering outdoors. We will definitely, you know, do that. But to the extent of entering your property and doing search and seizures, we're not in the business of doing that.
Right. As you point out, there's constitutional guidelines that are in place that should supersede any of the Thanksgiving guidelines that were published by DPHSS and the governor's office. Now, a couple of weeks ago, and I think I mentioned this the last time we talked, there were a couple of get-togethers and town halls, or not town halls, but kind of roundtables, public hearings with DPHSS and other concerned individuals, other stakeholders on the enforcement, because this is still kind of a big deal in my head, the enforcement of the rules and regulations for DPHSS in these COVID-19 times. Regardless of what the CAR score is, that's still something that they wanted access to, I suppose, to be able to further enforce what goes on at commercial activities and commercial accounts, restaurants that might be out of the requirements from public health. I'm thinking about your what's it, McCrouch, etc. Where there might be gatherings larger or people inside or whatever. Have those guidelines been completed now?
So we are in the process of having it finalized. It's already gone through a legal review. It's just kind of in its finishing touches. One thing I can tell you is that the way it's going to be, the enforcement arm of it, of course, it's through GPD. But one of the things that we're trying to have it, I'm trying to think of the word here. The due process part of it is kind of similar to a speeding ticket. So once, for example, somebody is given a citation, the due process part of it, aspect of it, is an individual, if they want to challenge it, they can challenge it in court through a speeding ticket, similar to a speeding ticket, rather. So, to pay the fine, they can go similar to how you do a speeding ticket, but if they want to challenge it, it's similar in that fashion.
What will the fines be? Will there be any jail time associated with this?
That part is still being finalized. So hopefully, hopefully we can have it out by this week or in the next week or so. But we are still finalizing that the rules and regs.
Okay, there was another story come out in the Post yesterday. I'm so glad I got you on the line because there's so much in my head. Talking about EMTs. Now, DPHSS is going to be hiring their own EMTs. There's some requirements that would normally be attached to that job, but since these guys aren't driving ambulances, they probably aren't going to need a chauffeur's license. And then there's some other training that they have to have, but because they're not fire department EMTs, they don't need that as well. And then once all of this is over, according to the article, they would transition to GP Guam Fire. Is that correct?
So I wanted to clarify something there, and I did contact the Post, and I did offer that clarification to them. So the transition, in order for that to happen, there would actually need to be a change in policies and in the law. In order for you to be an EMT with the Guam Fire Department, you'd actually have to be, you'd have to go to the fire academy. So that can't necessarily happen unless they go through the fire academy training with Guam Fire. So although that's a goal we'd like to have, we're probably going to keep them on board at Public Health. But right now they're hired under CARES Act, or they're going to be hired under CARES Act funding. Yeah. And if that runs out, we'd like to keep them on board through Public Health. But we are trying to get them hired. They're in the process of being hired as EMTs with Public Health. Now the chauffeur's license, having that waived, that was a request that we made. But it's not going to be, it's a waiver, it's a temporary waiver. Eventually we'll work on getting them their chauffeur's license. But because of the urgent need to have them assist us with, community outreach, targeted outreach, we did seek that waiver, but eventually we will get it for them. It's probably just a temporary waiver for maybe 30 days or so.
While you're doing that, can you get my daughter her driver's license?
Is she an EMT?
She can be. She's 16. She can work for the government. No, it would upset me a great deal if there were all of these variances from the rules and regulations, because there's a whole lot of people that have been waiting trying to get into the Department of Revenue and Taxation so that they can apply for and receive driver's licenses and test for chauffeur's licenses and things like that. I think it would just tick everybody in the world off if they found out that, yeah, you have to wait, but these guys over here, we're going to go ahead and look the other way on on their application. So I'm just saying,
Well,
you watch out for that's a public relations puddle.
Well, they are offering a very needed service at this critical time. They're augmenting our nurses, and when we go out and we do these community outreaches, sometimes we call upon Guam Fire to assist us, and they're there. They help us out in the event there's an emergency or we need life support or A&D support. In that event, it's very time-consuming. The resources that are put into place for events like this. So if we had our own EMTs on board that we hired through public health, that really would reduce the need for those types of resources. And having our own EMTs really helps with these types of events.
Well, you've got nurses when you go out there, don't you? I mean, you've got people that have got the technical medical skills, right?
EMTs actually offer a different type of support and care. They have a certain type of specialty when it comes to that type of care.
And the people that you're hiring already have that specialty?
Right, and AED support with different types of equipment that they can use. Now, if it's emergency care where they need to be transported, then we would call.
Yeah, they still got to call fire department. Still got to call those guys. Right. All right, because I was, the other question was, I'm not sure if GFD was happy about the idea of having people that would transition into their department in the government of Guam, because I'm sure they've already got people that have applied for and are in process of being hired by the Guam Fire Department. Anyway, more on that a little bit later. Yeah. Hey, Janelle, I got to go. Fox News Live is coming up. It's always fun talking with you. But remember, Miami Gibson needs a driver's license. So if we're looking the other way on those things, make sure she's at the top of the list. All right.
Get her an EMT basic training, and we'll figure it out.
I can do it. She looks great in scrubs. All right, got to go. Talk to you pretty soon. That's Janella from the Department of Public Harassment and Secret Service. 7 o'clock in the morning. Coming up, Fox News Live is next. Mona Silva Tyron with all the big stories. Jerry Roberts going to be doing the extra point. Are we going to be in Thanksgiving mode for this one? I don't know, but you know what is coming up soon, don't you? Here's Fox News.
Lisa Brady, Fox News. More treatments for COVID-19 are also on the way, and one you may have heard about will now be available starting tomorrow. Fox's Eben Brown has this live.
Yeah, Lisa, the antibody treatment for coronavirus developed by Regeneron had been experimental. It's what President Trump received while hospitalized with the disease. Now you might be able to get it too, says Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar.
Regeneron received emergency use authorization from the FDA for its monoclonal antibody cocktail. Today we're announcing plans for the product distribution, and distribution will begin tomorrow.
Some 30,000 doses will be distributed fairly around the country, the department says, and eventually 300,000 rounds will be handed out free of charge to patients. Lisa.
Thanks, Eben. The heads of several House committees are demanding a briefing tomorrow from the head of the General Services Administration about the ongoing refusal to recognize Joe Biden as president-elect so transition briefings can begin. The same group of lawmakers wrote to GSA Administrator Emily Murphy last week requesting a briefing by today. Murphy's staff had offered a deputy next week. That prompted the new letter with a deadline to respond later today. In the meantime, the president-elect is building his national security and foreign policy teams and signaling a return to more traditional relations with the world.
The president-elect intends to nominate Alejandro Mayorkas as Homeland Security Secretary. If confirmed, he would become the nation's first Latino and immigrant to lead the department. Former Secretary of State and one-time presidential candidate John Kerry is the president-elect's choice to be special presidential envoy for climate. And Biden aide Jake Sullivan is the president-elect's pick for a national security advisor.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland. The Wall Street Journal reports former Fed Chief Janet Yellen will be nominated as the first female Treasury Secretary. America is listening to Fox News.
It's time to mix things up at Subway. Come in and get Subway's new barbecue chicken sandwich. Tender chicken strips topped with generous portions of sweet barbecue sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Add on crisp lettuce, onions, and tangy pickles on your favorite freshly baked bread. Perfect to satisfy just about anyone's flavor craving. It's Subway's new barbecue chicken sandwich, available for limited time only, so try it today. At Subway, make it what you want.
Hafade, this is Kayla from APL Guam. Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated team in Guam and the U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit apl.com.
Michigan's election results could be certified by the Board of Canvassers today after what may be a lengthy meeting.
There are nearly 800 people lined up in the virtual queue to speak during the public comment period of this meeting. And the vice chair of the board, a Republican, asked that the board hear from all of those individuals first before the vote happens. However, he also said that the board's duty today is very clear, saying, quote, "We are here to certify the election." That could be an indication that he plans to vote in favor of certification. And that is significant because coming into this meeting, there were indications the other Republican on the board may vote against it.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. The Trump campaign continues legal challenges in several states and a partial recount in Wisconsin. They've also requested a recount in Georgia. Earlier today at the White House, First Lady Melania Trump on hand as the official White House Christmas tree arrived by horse-drawn carriage. The White House still planning to host annual gatherings, too, with added safety precautions. But a message from a Texas family about the danger of holding a party.
A family from Arlington learning how quickly COVID-19 can spread. Now, Alexa Ordonez is sharing her family's ordeal.
We thought that, just staying in our close nuclear cell of folks was going to keep us safe. But unfortunately, that is not the case.
15 members of her family catching the virus after 12 went to a small birthday party earlier this month.
It was devastating to all of us. We felt guilty for exposing her to the virus.
Alexa talking about her 57-year-old mother who went to the party at a cousin's house, and she's finally out of the hospital.
She still has pneumonia, and she still has pain in her chest, still doesn't have a taste or a sense of smell.
The family says members started feeling sick within 3 days of the party, with the ages ranging between 8 and 57.
Fox's CJ Papa. Wall Street rallies after promising results for a third vaccine. The Dow up 327. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
You've got a job to do. Having the right equipment for the job is critical, and East West Rental has the exact tools you need. Get it done faster with the right stuff, whether it's landscaping tools, concrete tools, lifts, trucks, lights, generators, trench boxes, welders, tents, tables, and chairs. They're here to help you tackle any project you're working on, big or small. Open Monday to Saturday, 7 to 5, closed Sundays. Find what you're looking for at East West Rental Center in Upper Tumont or call 646-1463.
Okay, Google. Hey, Siri. Hi, Bixby.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Open the Point app. Opening.
Live stream, on demand, swap stations, check out the visual radio. Get the free app available on the App Store and Google Play or go to thepoint.gu.
Did you know your smartphone is one of the most powerful tools in our fight against COVID-19? That's why we're bringing you the Guam COVID Alert Exposure Notification app. Developed by Google, Apple, and the PathCheck Foundation, the app works by letting you know if you've been exposed to someone who's positive. It's completely voluntary, and more importantly, it's anonymous. Add your phone to the COVID fight. Go to guamcovidalert.guam.gov or download it from the App Store or Google Play now. Help Guam stop COVID-19.
Off a day, it's 7:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyron with a look at your local news here on The Point. There have been 53 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported, that from the Joint Information Center. It's out of 773 tests that were conducted. It brings the island's total COVID count to 6,602. Guam has seen 106 deaths linked to the coronavirus. There are currently 1,600 people in active isolation, and according to the JIC, 48 people in the hospital, 8 people in intensive care, with 4 of those on ventilators. As of yesterday's report, the COVID area risk score is now at 9. Yet another government agency has been hit by the coronavirus. Bureau of Budget Management Research offices will be closed until further notice. After an employee tested positive for COVID-19, the office will be sanitized and all of the staff will be tested. The BBMR office is located at Adaloop. Well, more news right after this.
Becoming a homeowner can be a scary process, but it doesn't have to be, especially if you have the right guidance. Break through your fears and go to a real estate professional that will ensure a higher chance of success. That person is Lolita Cammett of RE/MAX Diamond Realty. Lolita also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. Don't be afraid. Call Lolita Cammett from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
After 4 days of jury deliberations, the verdict is not guilty on all counts. That in the Mark Torrey Jr. trial, it brings an end to the trial that spanned over the last 5 years. Mark Torrey Jr. was charged with the 2015 shooting death of fellow police officer Sergeant Bert Piolo. Torrey had undergone trial once before and successfully appealed the outcome of the first. In that trial, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison for negligent homicide, aggravated assault, and special allegations. He appealed that verdict, and it was overturned, and he was allowed to take the matter back to court. The latest trial has ended with Torrey being acquitted on all charges brought against him. Well, Nebraska police are investigating a fatal shooting at a Sonic drive-thru, and one of the victims has ties to Guam. As reported in the national news, the suspect has been arrested, but details are still being ironed out. The incident happened on Saturday at the drive-thru of the Sonic in Bellevue. 2 people were killed and 2 others were hospitalized. Of the 2 that were hospitalized, 18-year-old Zoe Reese Italic Lujan, police say that they received a call of reports of a possible bomb inside a moving truck in the parking lot of the Sonic drive-in. When they arrived at the scene, they found 4 victims of gunshot wounds. The 23-year-old shooter was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of arson. And the Guam Election Commission has removed 2 individuals from the list of Hagåtña voters, and the Attorney General now getting involved to look into possible election law violations. The Guam Daily Post reports that the GEC's now also raised concerns about the Hagåtña Mayor's Office residency verification system. The matter was brought to light after an individual challenged the residency of 2 people who voted in the village and who also worked as precinct officials on Election Day. The GEC sided with the administrative challenge. It was determined that the individuals were listed as residents, but listed addresses of properties that were abandoned. That story in the Guam Daily Post. And a search will be underway for a missing prisoner of war and military personnel off of Guam waters. Joint Region advising the public that the U.S. Department of Defense is seeking to account for the missing personnel and will be conducting an underwater survey. The Department of Defense's POW MIA accounting agency is in charge of this search, and it's being backed by a Navy vessel. The team's diving operations will take place at Assen Point, Hagåtña Bay, Pago Bay, Paddy Point, and off of Hinapsan Beach. The Navy advises the general public to be aware of military personnel operating in these areas. And those are your top stories here on The Point. Here's Ray with your weather.
Says high risk of rip currents through Saturday afternoon along east-facing reef. So if you've got Thanksgiving plans that take you to a beach or an exposure on the eastern side, be very, very careful about getting in the water. Keep an eye on the kids. Mostly cloudy today. Light rain, scattered locally heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms this morning. Then scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon. Will it be as bad as yesterday? Brandon didn't think so, but you know, atmospheric conditions change rather quickly around here, so watch out for that. Southeast winds 20 miles an hour, possibly gusting to 25 in showers, becoming easterly about up to 20 miles an hour this afternoon. Daytime highs 87 degrees. With the heat index, it'll feel like 90 degrees. Forecast for tonight, it's about the same. Mostly cloudy, scattered showers, partly cloudy skies, and isolated showers. The usual forecast should return by Wednesday. Still going to be breezy, up around 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs 88 degrees. Sunset tonight 5:50. Hashtag tell the others. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
As we celebrate Thanksgiving this year in a very different way, the team at Security Title has been busy focusing on the things that we are grateful for. Without exception, our gratitude starts with the love of family and the faith in the future of our island. We are grateful for the meaningful work supporting our realtors, lenders, buyers and sellers, and other partners in the real estate industry. From the Security Title family, we wish you and yours a very blessed Thanksgiving.
Top End Pest Control is who you call for all your pest control needs. Got a problem with roaches, ants, spiders, rodents, fleas, ticks, termites? No problem. They do it all. Top End Pest Control is a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business and HubZone certified. Serving Guam since 2012. Call them today for a quote, 487-5657, or email topendpest@gmail.com. Check them out on Facebook at Top End Pest Control and give them a like. Top End Pest Control for all your pest control needs.
I hear that. 7:12 in the morning. Portions of the program brought to you by Nanbo Insurance. Got a couple of locations to serve you. Opening this morning at 8:30, and you're going, but do I need an appointment? It's COVID-19. Do I have to tell them I'm coming? No, they love walk-ins and surprises as well. Come to think of it. Visit them online at nanbo.com on the World Wide Web. Get some more information from there. 712, Ray Gibson Show, also brought to you by the team over at American President Lines, a global presence with a local home.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
So much to talk about, so little time. Ray Gibson here, and looking over a couple of things that are of interest. I think there's going to be a meeting of the Island Beautification Task Force, and it being as slow enough of a news day, I may later on go over some of the minutes that they've got in the Island Beautification Task Force meetings that they've had in the past. Normally, normally I don't care, but in this case, I'm wondering, because every once in a while I get the feeling like, they're finally going to address what I consider to be one of the major eyesores here on Guam. Do you know what it is?
Oh, could it be the fence that runs around JFK?
Butt ugly chain link fence that goes from about where the Foodies is all the way up to John F. Kennedy High School. It doesn't do absolutely anything, and it certainly has outlived its purpose. The original idea was to prevent the students from John F. Kennedy from running pell-mell across Marine Corps Drive to their cars and their chicks over at Kmart. But over the years, portions of that, the first about 60 feet or so, have been eaten away and eroded by drunk drivers in the middle of the night. So the whole section that was most important to preventing the kids from running pell-mell across the street is gone.
How much more is there?
Well, there's still hundreds of feet.
Well, let me ask you a question.
That go all the way back.
You've been talking about this for a long time.
Yes, I have.
I know you're a guy.
Now they're not going to do anything because it's my pet peeve.
You're a handyman. I understand.
Me and Real Joe and a case of beer.
Well, let me ask you. What would it take to get like bolt cutters and stuff like that, or whatever?
Ray's got a grinder
in the middle of the night to just go take that thing out. I mean, why haven't you done it?
So like we need the guys from Angokos up in Maina.
To
right?
chain it.
You remember the big monster truck they used to have?
Yes.
So you get the monster truck,
That's
and
it.
we pull it on the back one, and then just pull them, pop, 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 pop,
3
straight out.
o'clock in the morning, no one's out there. Fence gone.
Yeah,
You got to time it
Why
when the
haven't you
police
done
are
it?
changing shift, though. I mean, you
No.
just do it real quick.
What we do is we can do this now. We'll time it with Thanksgiving get-togethers, and somebody needs to do a Karen, and we'll call all of the police guys and the DPHS guys and the SWAT guys, and we'll all call them into a certain neighborhood where there's a massive Thanksgiving gathering going on, and
while they're doing that,
then we go do our thing with that big rig from Angokos.
It's the old bait and switch.
No, you know something? There are some boys on the island who probably listen to this radio show saying, this is our chance.
He's right.
And
he's right.
Guess who it's going to get blamed on?
Fine, yeah. I'll take the blame. If all of a sudden it was gone on Monday, I'd be the happiest guy in the whole wide world.
Did you know that's all made out of copper?
It is a major eyesore.
It's all made out of copper.
Did
you guys know that? They
No,
just
you're
painted it to make it look like it wasn't copper.
It's copper, and you can take that to the Massey and get rich. And you know how much methamphetamine you can buy from all of the copper that you're going to fence from that? Yeah. That's funny. So what do they consider important? Here's the minutes from the meeting that they had on October the 20th. Something about a circular economy. And are you ready for this, guys? Universal trash collection. They're talking about mandating universal trash collection, and I can see, I understand it. I understand the ideas. There's the number one, GSWA is going to make up for a major shortfall in revenue from the commercial side, and not enough private customers, public, guys like me and you, to take up the slack. I mean, it's in the millions of dollars. So they go and if they do universal collections, there's a possibility. I think the conventional wisdom is that people wouldn't necessarily take their trash and dump it in the boonies because we've got universal collections. They're going to come to your house whether you pay directly GSWA or not. So they're going to try to figure out how to do all of that stuff, and now putting together a plan to work with the legislature, mandating a deadline for the government to establish the rules and regulations for universal collection.
So people that don't pay still get their trash collected.
They would still get their trash picked up. Now, you're going to have to pay somewhere. Somewhere along the lines, somebody has to pay for the service, right? I mean, that was the failure of the way they did it in the past, was that they just going out there and picking up trash and nobody taking paying any attention to collections, who paid, who didn't pay. Yeah. So how is that going to happen? Are they going to tie? Lulian Guerrero was talking about how back in the day it used to be tied to sewage fees. So if you've got a house and you're paying a water bill, maybe we can attach the fee for trash collections to that, one way or the other.
And then sewage fees go up to accommodate the additional.
Gonna have to, yeah. So all of a sudden, people's power or water bills may end up to be what's mine, about $65. It's just me in the house. It's just me in the house, and my water bill is about $65 a month.
Yeah,
and
because,
that includes
that goes for the sewer,
right? Incoming and outgoing. So
and most of that's the sewer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at my house, yeah.
No, think it would be. Wouldn't be your house. Same thing. I mean, I was doing the same thing. I asked. Because we don't use very much water, and they said
it's because you take cold showers.
Yeah, most of that is your sewer, and like about 2/3 of it.
So how is this going to work for 35 to 37,000 people unemployed, underemployed, with those bills going up? Not necessarily a related story, but I like to keep track of what's going on in Hawaii, and among the stories that are causing eyebrows to go up in Hawaii is this one here. They've got maybe the most significant unemployment going on right now in the country, like 15% unemployment in the state of Hawaii, and that's okay because they have unemployment insurance. Okay. Which is now upside down to the tune of about $500 million. Yeah. Which means that when the businesses start opening up, 2021, something like that, in Hawaii, the employers there are now going to have to pay maybe 3 times as much for unemployment insurance as they have in the past to meet that shortfall and to rebuild the fund.
Yep.
How many businesses in Hawaii you think might be able to survive COVID-19 lockdowns, restrictions on how many employees you can have, how many people you can have in your business, and all of the other associated fees, and now treble the cost of the unemployment insurance fees?
Going to be very difficult.
They're talking about a tsunami. A massive tidal wave is going to hit Hawaii businesses next year. You heard about it here first. 7:19 in the morning. Jerry Roberts says, I got to do the extra point before 7:30, Ray. You got to get me in before 7:30 because what do you got? Got a hot date? We got a big deal?
There's an event going on that I have to be involved with.
An event going on. I'm probing.
No.
All right. I got a doctor's appointment a little bit later on today. Yeah. I got some funk, but I'm not going to tell you where it is. It's a Yang's place. All right, one last thing before we get to the extra point then, because I wanted to give you some good business news. On the 25th, which is Black Friday in most places. Did you see where the mall is closed on Black Friday this year? It's down here in the Pacific Daily News. I talked to Fred Yamon.
Not that I was going to go, but
he says this year we decided to close the mall on Thanksgiving up at the Micronesia Mall. Your mileage may vary.
Thanksgiving or Black Friday?
Thanksgiving, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I got to read that a little bit more and see if it means Black Friday is going to be closed as well. Question is, will the government of Guam be open on Black Friday? Last year they were. Last year, you remember?
What were the deals?
I don't know. I don't know who made any. I don't know what the deals were last year. But the question is, and I haven't heard anything yet out of the governor's office.
Maybe they'll find a way to close for COVID on Friday and allow everybody to work at home.
That's a deal.
Kimmel, there's air quotes. Get the air quote spray. We have air quotes flying around here. All right, so here's my buddy over at Boris from the PTAC, free live webinar, How to Get Women. No, that's it. That's the title of the webinar. Just how to get women. All right. Wait. There's more. How to get women-owned small business certified. There we go. That's the rest of the story here. WOSB is now an official SBA certification program. That's women-owned small business. We will discuss the new certification process as well as supporting document requirements to become a women-owned small business. I guess the underlying notion here is that you have to be a woman. And if you're interested in this, go to GuamPTAC.com. That's GuamPTAC.com. Or if you're interested in hearing from the guy himself, Boris's phone number is 488-2151. That's 488-2151. How to get women own small businesses. 722, Jerry Roberts now on the Extra Point, being brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services, where you can now pay online, and First Hawaiian Bank, where it's all about yes.
It was the cheer that we gave at the end of every game, and it's the sentiment that is often missing in the workplace today. That's coming up next on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
A homeowner's policy protects much more than just your house. It also protects you against claims from someone being hurt on your property. If a visitor is injured at your place, how much are you covered for? The smart thing to do is get the answer today.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Win or lose, at the end of every baseball game I played as a kid, we would all get into a tight huddle and yell out 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? And then we just add the name of the team we just played, like Dodgers, yay! And the other team would do the same. For us, it was about sportsmanship. When you think of the workplace and the rest of life, the term we would use is gratitude. We don't do the 2, 4, 6, 8 thing, but maybe we should. Maybe we should let our coworkers know that we do appreciate them more often. Is there somebody where you work where you have been meaning to tell how much you do appreciate the work they do, special favors they've done for you, or maybe you just like their normal, cheery disposition? When I left KUAM in the mid to late 1980s, I gave the station 3 months' notice so they could figure out my replacement. So I had 90 days to get with coworkers I'd spent considerable time with, as well as the sponsors and advertisers who had supported my work, and friends. I did a lot of that, but there were people I never got to, and I lost the opportunity to thank them and spend a little bit of time with them before I left the island. I had reasons. There was business to conduct. There always more to do for the radio show. I had to box up furniture and things and sell stuff, and I kept telling myself I had time. And then there was no more time. Maybe you've been waiting for just the perfect moment to thank someone. From experience, I can tell you that the perfect moment is when you first think about it. Tell them then. Otherwise, things can get in the way, and you may never get that done. The other point to be made is to be specific. Make sure you tell the person why you wanted to thank them, why you appreciate them. The reason is because that makes it personal, and that makes it memorable. When I did the radio show, people would come up to me during the day and say things like, "Great show, JQ, good show, love the show," etc. Now, I'm not trying to brag, but if you're on the radio, if you ever get on the radio, that's going to happen to you. You'll hear it a lot. People want to be polite. Ray gets it too. I know he appreciates it, just as I did. Now, to go just one step farther, what if you said, "Ray, loved your show today, especially when you talked about personal freedoms," or "It was so cool when you accepted Jerry's challenge and ate a pound of raw tofu on the air." Being specific gives him something to grab onto and gives your praise and appreciation much more impact. And isn't that what you want? You waited all this time to tell this person how you feel. Don't shortchange them now. Deliver the goods. Be specific. Nellie Joy and I have been married 25 years, and we've lived in small places and big places and houses and condos, and some had some interesting architectural issues. Wherever we've lived, she has transformed it into a home. She has the eye for it. I don't. All I want to know is where my work area is going to be, and I trust her with the rest. And I've never been sorry for doing that. And I've also told her this in specific terms, as I know she cares deeply that her family likes the place that we all live in. You see, specifics matter. So the whole thing about appreciation can be wrapped up in 3 simple rules. Appreciation is a giving thing. Number 1, give it freely and frequently. Number 2, give it when it comes to mind. Don't wait for things to get in the way and risk never telling someone how you feel. And number 3, give it in specific terms so the other person gets the full benefit of what you say. Follow those simple guidelines. You're going to be amazed how effective your praise is and how much people will be grateful for you giving it. That's the extra point. Be responsible and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Yeah, the idea is, and the easy management translation for me is we've got hotlines. Every studio at the radio station has a hotline attached to it. And obviously you call up and you give the guy a hard time on the hotline when he blows a break or screws up the, a client cell or something like that. But you also use that to call in and say, hey, great bit. You did fantastic on that. Love the way you hit the post. Catch people in the act of doing it right if you're going to be doing it right now. Otherwise, you're right. Be very, very specific about it. Say, you listen and say, I heard what you said about the governor yesterday, and I really, really appreciate it. That kind of thing goes a long way. So be very specific in your praise of why you are praising somebody.
I mean, it tells them that, they did
actually paid attention.
They paid attention. Yeah. They saw, they heard exactly what you did, and they appreciated that. And that makes it very meaningful.
Yep.
Because you know they were there.
Exactly. So work on that. Listen, I know you're in a hurry, so I'm going to let you run. You go have a fantastic day.
You
Transcripts
too,
available at guamtraining.com on the World Wide Web. In the meantime, before we get into Montesilva and the headlines, there is something I do want to share with you. I was talking about Sarah Garin, who's online this morning.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. You're so pretty today. I love your profile picture on the WhatsApp, by the way, because it's different from all of the others. Not everybody gets to see that kind of thing, but I'm happy that I do. See, that's being specific with praise, right? But she sent, now yesterday, like I said, there's some great pictures floating around of sunset yesterday, and I know it was it's yesterday, Ray. You never go backwards on this show. Yeah, but I kind of got to in this case for a lot of reasons. Number one, because it was absolutely gorgeous, and number two, I think after the lousy weather that we had yesterday afternoon, completely unanticipated. Nobody expected it to be. I didn't. And I'm a sunset hunter. I looked at the sun going down Mount Aludum and I said, well, I guess that's it for Monday, and went to my speakeasy. But no, others, they stood, they lurked, they waited, and their patience was rewarded. Now I'm going to play this. I don't know if there's any audio behind it, but it is Sarah did a time lapse with her phone and for about, I don't know, 30 seconds or something like that. And this is what the skies look like. It's sped up, but only a little bit. And you can see the low altitude clouds going across the sky, and the colors in the sky beginning to go a little bit pastel up around the horizon part. Just a gorgeous picture, and a little bit spooky when you think about it. And I think there were a lot of people that might have been a little spooked at the nature of the deal yesterday, of the sunset yesterday, because there was a whole lot going on with it. As I said, you got some nice pastel colors that were coming out, and big pictures, and almost enough camera. Almost enough camera with that. 7:30. Good job, Sarah, and I appreciate you sending that out to the radio station. If you got some great pictures, especially of the deep red that came out yesterday, and people are asking why, what happened, what were the atmospheric conditions that made the sky as red as it was yesterday? And the answer to the question is, it had nothing to do with atmospheric conditions. It had nothing to do with the weather. It has everything to do with the fact that they're changing around what's supposed to be happening with the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. There will not be a procession. Instead, they're going to load Mary up in the car, put some cool Huey Lewis and the News cruising sunglasses on, and take her for a ride around the island. Going to pass by all the different churches, but only pass by. She's not getting down. She's not going to be getting down. No. And that's I think in my mind too different from the way we normally do the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. And I think the skies yesterday and the weather that we had yesterday was a little bit of celestial tantrum, if you will, and a reminder of who's really in charge. It's 7:31. You want to do headlines? Montecillo Tyron has got the headlines waiting. They're being brought to you here by, who's this now? The guys, Karen and Ken over at Top End Pest Control. You got varmints in the house, maybe something that you're having a hard time identifying. Here's what you do, is you call 487-5657, get a WhatsApp from those guys, and send them a picture of the varmint. Now, I'm guaranteed they've seen just about everything here on Guam and have got a pretty good handle on how to kill them. Will we use a chemical spray? Will we use something like pheromones? Or will we actually go in with guns and bullets and flamethrowers? You know, there's a whole lot in their arsenal. Find out what it's going to take for you. 487-5657. Auntie Loli Kamet of Remax Diamond Realty brings you the 730 news as well for all of your real estate needs. Call her at 688-6743. Now with the news, here's Montecillo Tyron.
53 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported from the Joint Information Center. That's after 773 people were tested for COVID-19. 48 people are in the hospital, 8 of them in the intensive care unit with 4 on ventilators. As of yesterday's JIC report, they say that the COVID area risk score is now at 9. BBMR will be closed until further notice after an employee tested positive there at that office. It will be sanitized and all the staff will be tested. They are working with public health on the contact tracing. BBMR's office, if you don't already know, is at Adelup. Not guilty is the verdict that came out of the 4 days of jury deliberations in the Mark Torrey Jr. trial. The verdict had been after he'd been charged with the 2015 shooting death of fellow police officer Sergeant Bert Piolo. And those are your headlines right here on The Point.
Thanks. 7:32 in the morning. That's Montecillo Tyron and the news. We'll take a look at some of the commentary going on the Facebook Live. Post Canteen says you're going to hear about bond covenant problems with tying garbage collection to any other utilities. It's been a long time since I've thought about that, but I think you're right. There was a whole lot of borrowing attached to that with payback tied to Section 30 funds. Raul Montes, and the subject of Hawaii and the massive tidal wave that is going to hit Hawaii businesses next year. Hawaii is the hardest state in the union to open a business. It doesn't look good for small businesses. And you might be going, well, that's too bad, because business, profit and motives, and blah, 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 blah. Small businesses account for a whole lot of hiring in Hawaii. And if it means that employers, get the word business out of your head. Exchange it with this. Employers have to spend more money for the employees on top of their wages, on top of their benefits, and now triple the charge, they're saying, for unemployment insurance in that state. That is going to discourage new hiring and encourage employee downsizing, exacerbating the state's historic unemployment rate. So watch for that death spiral for small businesses and the employees that work in those small businesses all across the state. 7:34, and got more yak coming up on the Ray Gibson Show.
Are you fed up with those long bank lines? Do you wish you had a bank who gave you faster service? Well, by enrolling in Bank Pacific's new mobile app, you don't even need to wait in line. But even if you do want to come down in person, we're more than happy to see your smiling face, as long as you have a mask. Because our service is so good, we don't believe in lines. Because for 66 years, we've been making sure you get the service you deserve. Because where others put branches, we place roots. And we're rooting for you. Member FDIC.
7:34 in the morning. Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at Security Title. Are you buying? Are you selling? Have you seen the deed? Have you looked at all of the land management paperwork? No, of course you haven't. That's not your job. That's not you. That's Security Title. They do that for you and make sure that there are no blemishes, no dark karma on the paperwork. That's what they're all about over at Security Title. 7:35 in the morning. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by these guys.
Win a staycation getaway with 76 Circle K. Enter to win a 2-night stay in the luxurious Tsubaki Tower with breakfast at the Casa Oceano and an hour of pure bliss at the Spa Ayala for 2. And then choose your adventure. A 3-hour ocean escapade with Shut Up and Fish, the premier ocean tour service, or take a heart-pounding water adventure and go jet skiing with Joe's Jet Ski. Just purchase $30 or more in fuel at 76 Circle K for a chance to win. Visit 76 Circle K today and win the staycation of a lifetime. Conditions apply. See store for details.
Traffic Gizmo time. Let me see what's on the screen. Do I have anything that is going to slow you down? Actually, I haven't refreshed this in a minute. So let me see if I can zoom out and see if there's any red spots. The usual. Down at Big Navy in Sumai, watching that traffic get a little bit busier at that intersection. A little bit of traffic on Route 4. Looks like the Chalampago-Ordot area. We got traffic at the intersection there, slowing things down, so watch out for that. A little bit of intersection traffic in the Tumunang area, Upper Tumon, all the way up to Dededo. You'll see traffic at all the usual spots, Waiseng, Song, and Harmon Loop, and then over at the intersection of 1 and 3. Also looks like it's fairly busy leading into Anderson Air Force Base. Looks like a little backup working as things are slowing down. COVID-19, nose checks for everybody up at Anderson Air Force Base. Maybe that's what's going on. 7:36 right now, traffic playing here on The Point.
You've got a job to do. Having the right equipment for the job is critical, and East West Rental has the exact tools you need. Get it done faster with the right stuff, whether it's landscaping tools, concrete tools, lifts, trucks, lights, generators, trench boxes, welders, tents, tables, and chairs. They're here to help you tackle any project you're working on, big or small. Open Monday to Saturday, 7 to 5, closed Sundays. Find what you're looking for at East West Rental Center in Upper Tumon, or call 646-1463.
Right on. Yes, portions of the program, the breakfast part's being brought to you by the guys over at KFC. Let me see if I can do this with my eyes closed. Ladies and gentlemen, swing by the nearest KFC and enjoy a fantastic breakfast there. Iced coffee for you to try. We've got the Colonel's Chicken Congee. I'm not even looking at the script right now. I can do this all off the top of my head. Sausage. Sausage wraps, chicken breakfast wraps. They've got the fried chicken with the white gravy. What a fantastic platter that is. And don't forget the waffles and sausage. Don't want sausage with your waffles? We can do this with strawberries and more. Find that for breakfast today at KFC. Is that good? That's it. That's it. Nobody else would attempt a KFC live read without the actual script in front of them, without the paperwork in front of them. But I will do this for you. That's it. Warm, intelligent. That's the hallmark of the Ray Gibson Show. 7:37 in the morning. Other commentary. What do we got going on the Facebook Live? What's everybody yakking about? Zay Martinez is there. Post Canteen. Randy Landis. Good morning. Bill Cruz. Raul Montes and Smug. Hey, happy belated birthday to you, Smug Wimp.
Happy birthday, Smug.
He's got the best Cap T-shirts in the world. Now, I might even, if I get some time, I'll see if I can find it on my phone. It's him and his wife hanging out over at Pirates Cove about a month ago, and they're walking around, and notable because they'll do this twinning thing. And so he's got the shirt, she's got the same shirt.
Oh,
and
they have the
Catzilla shirts. Awesome. Pam Duvall online, Mike Grace Blas, John LaRue, and Lee Stolley. Henry Manglotnia, Colleen Diego, Valerie Tenodra is there. Lynn McAfee is watching the program. Jose Martinez says, do it, Ray. Do it, Ray. You know what he's talking about? Project Karen. Project Karen. We'll make a whole bunch of Karen phone calls. We'll get DPHSS, police department, fire department. We'll get everybody chasing down people that are having far too many people at their Thanksgiving gatherings. And while they're busy doing that, we'll pull down the god-awful, butt-ugly chain link fence that bisects the Marine Corps Drive area. You know you want to. You know you pass by the thing every day and going, we can do better. We can protect our kids and not uglify the island of Guam. Well, who else is there? Joanne Billiby is online. Sean May, Tunya Chargaloff, Jerome McDonald. And there's Sandra Regis, Bill Mora, Bennett Anti-Lujan. Lujan Duenas is online, as well as former Senator Jess Lujan. Jess, Joe Duenas, buenas to Vince Pangolinan, Eric Mendel, Justin Camacho, Joe Jerry, and Deanna Tenorio watching the program. So is Marie Ramey Delgado Kamatsu, Yuka Artero. Golly, what a big crowd today. Hank Bora and Rico B. and Tim Lujan, Sarah Lake, Bertha, Maza Cruz, and T.C. Sanchez. TC stands for Take Charge. Bill Fritton, good morning to, Stephen Martinez. Just says he's watching the program right now. But Stephen's always good for awesome comments. So is Linda Sablon. Netadog, good morning, beautiful. Good to have you online. Vivian Cunningham, good morning, beautiful. Good to have you there. My buddy Dennis Benzer, Cody James, Benita Camacho Garrido, Sherry Iriarte, Dennis Larson. The Honeyman is online this morning. And let me see. Dennis says, I'd rather take down the mural. What mural could that be, buddy? In 20 minutes, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. From the Guam Power Authority, my very close friend, personal friend, Art Perez. And Art, I'd like to say thank you very much for making sure that the power did not go out at my house yesterday.
Oh, no problem, Ray. Yeah, we had some isolated outages yesterday, but line crews were able to take care of them all, and we had to do some trimming, repair a down line that was reported into our trouble dispatch.
Yeah.
And we continued that work throughout the night, and everything looks good at this time in the morning.
All right, so all systems are go, no problem at generation, mostly T&D?
Well, T&D was mostly due to adverse weather conditions. The latest one being this morning up in Jigo. Our dispatchers were able to do what we call a test close. If the power goes out, like your home switch, we try and go and switch it back on via the circuit panel. Same thing that we do, except on a larger scale of our substations. And that held, but we're going to go back out there this morning and with more daylight, hopefully troubleshoot and maybe identify what happened. We have 100% visibility with the daylight. We can better spot what may have caused that outage early this morning.
All right, so should I take that as an indication there's a possibility we might have some power issues up in Jigo associated with that circuit?
No, it's something if we can do hot, the line crews will be able to do it. But if there's going to be an emergency outage, we'll make that announcement. Most likely that'll be on our Facebook, or we do the WhatsApp outage notification, and we'll send it out. And then also with that SMS texting service, we'll let customers know if it's going to be out or not.
Okay. I thought I'd signed up for that, but I'm not getting any SMS messages. Is that because I'm just not being affected by any power issues?
Yeah, I thought I signed up for the same thing, and I thought that since the position I was in GPA that I'll be able to get every single one, but our system's not set up that way. So yeah, I haven't. I myself have not received it for our circuit here in Barrigada, only because we haven't been having any outages, but I'm sure it works for the other circuits.
Okay, because the problem, what I wanted to do, and it's still kind of tricky because I've got to make sure I've got access to all of the different property owner and account owner accounts. Is I wanted to get this associated with not just my house, but here at the studios and at 2 other locations where we have transmitter sites. So I know that it's a power issue, not necessarily a transmission issue on my side, but because everything is under different leases, ownerships, and account names, it was a little bit tricky to do. It's still a little bit tricky to do. So maybe we can put some fire on that in the next few days and make it easier for people that would like to be able to surveil multiple locations and the power issues associated with that.
I certainly can look into it for you and give you some feedback on that.
No, just do it. Just tell them it's just change the policy. Just say we talked about it on the radio. Nobody called to complain. So it's just whatever numbers you want to sign up for, whatever locations you want to sign up for, just go for it.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, JB, trust me. John Benevitti, trust me.
Very good, Ray. I'll make the inquiry.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Art Paris from the Guam Power Authority. If you still have issues, get a hold of GPA. Call the dispatch line and let them know. But generally, because of the two-way, the bidirectional systems and the smart systems that we have, generally GPA knows about your problems before you know about your problems. Very cool technology. I'll talk to you pretty soon. 7:43. As I said, Art Paris is over there. Is it time for Uncle Paps?
It is.
Do we need a music theme?
Let me see what I got here.
Do the one that we do for Ken. Do the one just see if he notices. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a visit from Uncle Paps Martinez. Attention subjects. Uncle Paps.
I really don't need music, but if you want to. But the reason why I called, Ray, you guys don't do editorials. Why is that?
This is a 4-hour editorial. I'm not a journalist. I'm a commentator. What do you want to? Do you want a packaged editorial? Do you want it's 60?
Once in a while, I do editorials on an issue that's just once in a while. Not newspapers every day, but like a radio station or even a talk show. Once in a while, rarely. See, what I'm getting at is today's story on the SHPO. That's clearly a conflict of interest.
Saw that?
If you read today's paper, yeah, that's clearly a conflict of interest. And this is where an editorial would come in, because the reason why an editorial would come in is that it's just so important. Do you know what I mean? And for somebody to say it's not a conflict, if you feel strongly about it, I was thinking this is where an editorial would come in and just say it clearly is a conflict of interest, and he's got to be removed from that immediately.
Or probably, you know, I hear what you're saying. We're talking about Patrick Lujan, who was the SHPO, and now he is on leave with the Air Force Reserve, and is probably not going to be in through December or January. So we've got that. But can somebody who wears a uniform for the United States military, reserve included, are they able to negotiate in good faith on behalf of the people of Guam and the historical preservation efforts and the cultural preservation efforts of the people of Guam? And you don't believe that he's capable of doing that, and there's an obvious conflict of. Well, no.
I used to be a boxing judge. That would be like me being a boxing judge and my first cousin's one of the fighters. It's just ridiculous. That's clearly
so there is clearly a conflict. We've identified a conflict, and so what do we do about it? Just because a conflict appears or occurs does not necessarily mean that he is the wrong person for the job. We identify the conflict, and when there are pressure points or pain points in negotiations, then you just give that along to somebody else and say, all right, I'm not capable of making this because of an obvious bias in either direction. So, Carlotta, you do it. Uncle Paps, you do it.
The reason I'm saying about an editorial is you know very well when the media puts pressure on a policy or an issue or a decision being made, it changes. When the media puts pressure, it changes. I'll give you an example. When you had that Romeo and Juliet, that 16-year-old had a girlfriend that was 13 years old, and the media came on the side of the guy. Oh, don't punish him. He's only 16. If this goes on his record, he may never be able to enter the military with the federal government. The judge made a decision strongly favoring the 16-year-old, which probably went against public policy. But that's because of the media pressure that was put on. You people are so effective. That's why I think an editorial once in a while would put media pressure that would produce an outcome that otherwise would not come if it wasn't for the media.
If all of the media were on the same page, I don't know that. I think because there's so much fragmentation of the market, I don't know that there is one editorial voice that would speak for everybody, and certainly there's enough division in the way we all think, commentators and journalists alike. So I think there would be a number of different issues and a number of different views on those issues presented in these editorials, which is not necessarily a bad thing either.
Right. Well, everyone counts. I just want to mention that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, you're right. I think that's an interesting topic. So this program here, and as I say, I've never marked myself down as a journalist. I've got some journalism in my background. I recognize it when I see it. But my role here is to absorb all of the news and information that is in front of me about the same stuff that is in front of you every day: Guam Daily Post, PDN, KUAM, PNC, etc. And then regurgitate that with my comments. And when I'm lucky, I can kill 4 hours of talk radio with that.
Right, or at least give your comments very strongly on one side, like the senator, the judge, the director, Bob Krinsky does in Told Tales. He'll give his comments continuously biased on one side because he feels strongly that way. Yeah, well, and I try to sit at both sides of the table where I have the opportunity, but at some point, as we have seen in the last 9 months here, with the overreaction of COVID-19 and the bass-backwards policies that we have and the shifting of the goalposts, I just, I'm beholden, I think, every day to sit on the same side of the table as the people that would just like to know what the plan is moving forward. Today, we've been told strive for 5. First, it was safer inside, right? Remember that one? It's not a lockdown. It's safer inside. And now it's strive for 5. We got a car score of 9. Hopefully, we'll get, with our fingers crossed, we'll be able to get to a car score of 5. And then after, I don't know how long, after maybe a week at 5, 2 weeks at 5, 3 weeks at 5, whatever, then maybe we might go to PCOR 2 or PCOR 3. Maybe. I don't know. There's no plan. Nobody understands the car score. This is how crazy that car score is. Felix Cabrera is going to be on Candid News later on today, about 11 o'clock this morning, and will explain the car score on Candid News. And the question that I would ask is, why would we have to explain something? Why do we have to have something where the originator, the guy that created the calculus, needs to get on board and define it for everybody? Shouldn't there be something more self-explanatory? Something that is more user-friendly, something that is more that is easier to grasp, that doesn't require the author to get on Candid and explain how it works? Right. But I just want to make that my point about the shippo. Okay, Ray. Have a good day.
Well, that's your editorial. You ought to do Uncle Pap's editorial about once a week. Just call in and harumph. I don't disagree with the point that he's making about editorials. You know my background, and you know that my background is filled by guys like Lee Holmes, who would from time to time do an editorial on Guam cable TV, the last bastion of real journalism on Guam, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's about right, isn't it, Mana? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. And so when it wasn't, but when it wasn't,
John Anderson did it.
John every once in a while would do an editorial on PNC, and they were always very, very well written, very crisply written, and pointed. And then there were a couple of other guys, Jerry Staggs.
Murphy.
Oh, Joe Murphy.
Joe Murphy used to
daily
do the
editorial column. Yeah. And remember and so he had two of them. You remember I believe it was the one in the middle of the PDN, and then he always had a little short blurb at the front, letter from Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that back in the olden
that,
days? Yeah. Before Sudoku and all this other crap that distracted us from what's really important. We had Jerry Staggs doing editorials, and his were God, because what he would do in order to really drive home the point was just before the editorial, he'd bite a lemon. He'd just bite into a lemon like he was eating an apple.
So he could have his sour face.
Just this, crazy sour face.
I remember that when I was a kid watching. I always felt like I was in trouble.
Yeah, because that was, sometimes that's the point of the editorial. Here's something that you don't see all the time. When
did he really do the lemon thing? Was that?
Harrison Flora, another general manager over at Guam Cable TV. Every once in a while, when last man standing, he would go out there and do an editorial. But again, in those days, we're talking about Jerry Staggs, Harrison Flora, etc. There wasn't always a John Anderson. There wasn't a whole lot of talk radio on Guam at all until John put it on the air. And he was able to combine journalism and, to a degree, commentary on his views on the stories. You are the journalistic part of the program, and I'm the commentating part of the program, and Real Joe is the laugh track. Thank you so much.
He's the balance.
He is the balance, yes. So this is basically 4 hours of editorial comment that you are going to get. That's the goal. I come in, and the workflow looks like this. I get in, I sit at my desk, read the Post, then read the PDN, get into the studio, pick up all the scripts that Real Joe printed out from KUAM, PNC, etc., and take a look at those. And based on that, we'll determine what thoughts go in my head for the majority of the 4 hours that you and I have here together. And today, again, it's the car score. For the most part, it is the car score. Top of the thing, because we're at 9 today. We're at 40. I started adding, I keep a spreadsheet. I should say, one of these days I'll show you the spreadsheet, and there's 3 things in the sheets that I'm working on now. One of them is the number of tests that we've done. And the number of positives, number of tests overall, combine that with population, the number of people that have died from it. That way I can get a sense, and then geographically take a look at this and see, all right, how much trouble really are we in? And I come up with my own kind of car score, and most of the time it comes down to hospitalization. How many cases are in active working right now? We're worried about them hospital. Do we have those numbers today?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do too. I just it's buried in a pile. So and then what I've begun to add to it is the car score, because apparently that's the thing. That's our thing now.
It's a thing,
right? So we go, okay, the car score is 9. Wonderful. What do we do with 9? And the question that I have is, if we get to 5 and we stay at 5, what changes? When does the Queen come down, Big Mother, come down and say, we've been at 5 now for a week. We can have 10 people at our Christmas gatherings. Wowee. Did you hear Janella? Did you hear me being underwhelmed when I was talking to Janella last hour about that? Wow. 10 people. Whew. How about that? That's just the best. It's almost normal now. Or how about we get the car score? How about we get it so that the number of new infections or the doubling rate or whatever it is that goes into this, all of a sudden we make it so that we can not forget about 10 people at the parties. How about we just make it so that you do whatever you want to, and we'll just make sure that we take care of the sick people, and we're not going to have to worry about lines at Payless anymore, because how about we're going to let 75% of occupancy in? Can we take some bigger steps here? Or is this just, it's going to be little tiny incremental steps towards normalcy? Because if that's the deal for me, forget it. You keep your car score. We'll take it down to 1. It ain't going to make any difference. Well, oh, yeah, it's 1. We can have 10 people at your Christmas party. Wow, big whoop-de-doo. Tell me what the score has to be and how long we have to be there, so that we can get the rest. I want to literally. Can I dream? Can I hope about eating inside one of these days?
No dreaming for you, Ray.
No hope. What's the matter with you? Don't you understand? There's a pandemic.
I'm afraid that when they let us free,
tens
I
of
might
people
not know
could
what
die.
To do.
It'll come right back to you.
Really?
Oh yeah,
It's like
yeah.
riding a bike.
Freedom is like riding a bike, my man. Freedom is like riding a bike. So that's one of the other ones. The other big story here. And to the degree that I've not talked about it very much in the course of the last 5 years, mostly because even though the courts have spoken, there is no seemingly right answer. It is something that has divided the community since the night it happened. The Tory trial is over, and there were hundreds of people that were watching the feed coming in from Nick Delgado on the Guam Daily Post yesterday, and despite the audio issues that they were having, and the because the microphone, Nick was talking into the microphone, but whatever it was that they were streaming on was picking up the microphone that was on the phone or whatever, and so you had a lot of wind noise, and we've got everybody's wearing masks, so it was hard to tell just what exactly was being said, but you certainly got the gist of how badly the Piolo family were feeling with the verdict, how delighted that Mark and Jay Areola were with the verdict, and now it is all over. O'Malley wasn't on the scene, so we don't know what the next steps, if there's going to be any next steps from the Attorney General's office. But as I say, it is one of those stories where everybody has got a bias down the side one way or the other, and it is polarizing. There really is no middle on this. Most of the people that I was watching the comments on their Facebook live feed, and many of them are on the program now. Many of you were watching this, were watching now. We're watching this yesterday, and a lot of the comments were very, very negative with regard to the jury, very negative with regard to Mr. Tory. So that's another one of the big stories that we're floating around here. A couple of other things that are in my head as we're yakking into the 8 o'clock hour is what's going to be happening with Black Friday. What do we got? Am I working on Black Friday? Yes, I am. There's going to be a Black Friday radio show. We're not going to be a program note. No Thursday show.
Oh.
Thanksgiving morning. And I will, Thanksgiving morning, begin to work on a 14-pound turkey, because I'm only going to have 5 people at the house, Auntie Lou. There's only going to be 5 people at the house. Honest. And I got the smallest turkey that I could find over at Payless, because I didn't want to have too much by way of leftovers. But Monty, you know what Monty got me today? It's like my birthday. Ziplocs.
Oh.
I got 2 boxes of Ziplocs, man.
Generic Ziploc.
It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
Look, I don't.
It's the freezer one.
There's 2 kinds of Ziplocs for me. There's the new Ziploc out of the box, and then there's the used Ziplocs.
Yeah.
So I will, depending on what my current needs are, will take the Ziplocs that have been used, flip them inside out, wash them, and dry them, and then set them aside so that I don't use them for food.
Okay, I do it.
What?
Oh, okay. You're not going to use it for food.
I don't know. I don't use it for food again.
That's nasty.
Well, I do. You wash it well enough, but the one I don't reuse.
I'm a boy. There's no such thing.
The one that you don't reuse is the one that you store like fatty stuff, and the fat's really hard.
And sometimes you just throw that away.
Yeah.
Randy Landis, I love this. What are we striving for? 5? Strive for 5? How about this? Strive for pi. We're striving for 3.14159265, and that will be the thing. Well, we're striving for 5 for pi, but we're striving for pi. We're going to take it out 20 decimals. 20 decimal places. And so if we get to this and we stay there for long enough, then you can have 11 people at your Christmas party. You can thank me later. KUSG again, 93.3. This is The Point.
For Thanksgiving Eve. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
We all need to be a little more careful.
Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf ordering bars and restaurants to suspend alcohol sales from 5 p.m. Wednesday until Thursday morning.
We all need to commit to wearing a mask and staying home whenever possible.
He says it's the only way to ease the strain on the healthcare system. In California and New York, some sheriff's departments are refusing to enforce the governor's latest orders. President-elect Joe Biden pledging to work with the nation's mayors on COVID and many other issues, regardless of party.
Blue cities, red cities, it doesn't matter. They're all American cities, American communities. We deserve the full support of an American president. I promise you that.
He and Vice President-elect Harris holding a virtual meeting with mayors today as a Biden administration begins to take shape, including a new climate envoy.
John Kerry, the former Secretary of State, is going to be in charge of the $2 trillion Biden plan to combat climate change. We've heard Biden over the last couple months say that on day one, he would rejoin the Paris Climate Accords. We've also heard John Kerry, as a Biden surrogate, say that those Paris Climate Accords no longer go far enough. So big change is coming, and activists are happy.
Fox's Peter Ducey. Biden also wants former longtime aide Tony Blinken to be Secretary of State, lawyer Alejandro Mayorkas to be the first Latino and immigrant to serve as Homeland Security Chief, and reportedly plans to tap former Fed Chief Janet Yellen to be the first female Treasury Secretary. President Trump's team loses a round in Pennsylvania. The state Supreme Court rejecting the effort to toss out mail-in ballots with no date on the outer envelope or absentee ballots without a name and date on the back. Meantime, Michigan's election board has just certified a win for Biden. Georgia says a recount requested by the Trump campaign over the weekend will now begin on Wednesday morning. America is listening to Fox News.
Iran kacaman mepit COVID-19 o sa tarela kamu menimpam kan ho mamaga. Makamkan makamagis sa uma menlau de ko seli o mimichani. Napapam makamagis an kekelalan sa uma kampal silu eweo te John namanwini. Kamte awilaw kam luwachala pagana sawas. Menlau sawas o tarela mamakan o mejikan magayang sa uma niyang bambaki kasantiyan tatawang gamas irairan beach wano o quarantine. Mi irairatian juwang aramas jikan makamkan magasongaw. Kom tatang ke quarantine makam matawa makam juwang aramas ma positive o makam alakasaw makatete makam positive. Haleti sawas matang kendarela maur. Irapoches poidar sang namanaman ng Manialu, Micronesian Resource Center o Station Gun and Choice Broadcasting. Kalangan.
GM no longer supports the Trump administration's legal fight against California setting its own clean air standards.
General Motors CEO Mary Barra, in a letter to environmental groups, says the company is pulling out of the Trump administration's lawsuit and urged other automakers to do the same. Barra saying she agrees with President-elect Biden's plan to expand electric vehicle use to fight climate change. 13 automakers sided with the Trump administration last year over whether California has the right to set its own standards for greenhouse gas emissions and fuel efficiency.
Fox's Steve Rappaport. AstraZeneca becomes the third company to report a successful COVID vaccine trial, with Pfizer and Moderna already seeking FDA approval. Fox's Laura Ingle.
The head of Operation Warp Speed says, look, if all goes well with the FDA approvals, immunizations could start happening by mid-December. But he adds that 70% of the American population would need to be immunized to allow for true herd immunity.
Mass distribution is still expected to take months. China has a moonshot underway, sending up a probe aimed at bringing back material from the moon's surface for the first time in more than 40 years, lifted off a few hours ago. NASA tweeting that if successful, China would join the U.S. and former Soviet Union in obtaining lunar samples, adding they hope China would share its data with the global scientific community. An internet-famous cub has a new name.
The Smithsonian's National Zoo reveals its 3-month-old male giant panda cub will be called Xiao Qiji, which means little miracle in Mandarin. About 135,000 people voting on one of 4 names as part of an online poll on the zoo's website. Reps say the little one is a true miracle, bringing folks much-needed joy amid the pandemic.
Fox's Christian Goodwin. More than 1 million fans have been watching the zoo's panda cam since the cub was born in late August. And Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
It's time to mix things up at Subway. Come in and get Subway's new barbecue chicken sandwich. Tender chicken strips topped with generous portions of sweet barbecue sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Add on crisp lettuce, onions, and tangy pickles on your favorite freshly baked bread. Perfect to satisfy just about anyone's flavor craving. It's Subway's new barbecue chicken sandwich, available for limited time only, so try it today. At Subway, make it what you want.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer staycation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,900 by calling Family Finance. Agana 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo at 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Chili's has a dinner deal you can't miss. Enjoy a tasty appetizer, 2 bottomless Coca-Cola beverages, and 2 mouth-watering entrees, all for just $35. Treat yourself to entree options like our fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs, personal fajita with chicken, or the ultimate bacon burger. Chili's 2 for $35. Available daily from 3 p.m. to closing for patio dining or takeout. Chili's is located on the 2nd floor of the Tumon Sands Plaza. Call 648-7377 to place your takeout order today. With Chili's, you can still savor the moment at home.
Off today, it's 8:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyron with a look at your local news on the point. Not guilty in all counts. That's the verdict from the jury in the Mark Torrey Jr. trial yesterday after 4 days of deliberations. It brings to end the trial that spanned over the last 5 years. Torrey was charged in the 2015 shooting death of fellow police officer Sergeant Bert Piolo. Well, Nebraska police are investigating a fatal shooting at a Sonic drive-thru in Bellevue, and one of the victims in that shooting has ties to Guam. As reported, the suspect's been arrested, but the details are still being investigated. The incident happened on Saturday at the drive-thru, where 2 people were killed and 2 others hospitalized. One of those hospitalized is 18-year-old Zoe Reese Atalik Lujan. Police say they received a call of reports of a possible bomb inside a moving truck that was later identified as a U-Haul in the parking lot of a Sonic drive-thru. When they arrived at the scene, they found the 4 victims of gunshot wounds. The 23-year-old shooter has been identified as Roberto Carlos Silva Jr. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of arson. The Guam Election Commission has removed 2 individuals from the list of Hagåtña voters, and the Attorney General is now getting involved to look into possible election law violations. The Guam Daily Post reports that the GEC has now also raised concerns about the mayor's office's residency verification system. The matter was brought to light after an individual challenged the residency of 2 people who voted in the village and who also worked as precinct officials on Election Day. The GEC sided with the administrative challenge. It was determined that the individuals were listed as residents, but listed their addresses of properties that were abandoned. 53 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 have been reported. That's out of 773 tests that were conducted. That brings the island to 6,602 total confirmed cases since testing started in March. Guam has seen 106 deaths. Currently, there are 46 people in the hospital, 8 people in ICU, and 4 people on ventilators. And currently, as of yesterday's report from the Joint Information Center, the COVID area risk score is at 9. We'll have more news right after this.
Oh, KFC, original and crispy. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. KFC wants to make your busy holiday season a little easier with KFC's complete holiday feast. That's 12 pieces of KFC's original chicken, 3 large homestyle sides, 4 biscuits, and a free chocolate chip cake. Or try the 6-piece meal with our new sweet potato fries. Happy holidays from KFC Guam. It's finger licking good.
The Bureau of Budget Management Research will be closed until further notice after an employee there tested positive for COVID-19. The office will be sanitized and all of the staff will be tested. the BBMR office located at Adelup. In response to the outbreak of COVID-19 at the Department of Corrections, they'll be installing 3 military-grade tents for prisoners who test positive. These tents will be used for isolation facilities. DOC yesterday identified 62 more prisoners who tested positive. They now have seen 164 prisoners, and a number of officers also test positive. DOE also with the mayor's offices will continue their food distribution today. They have 1,300 bags of food commodities to be issued. They'll be at the Ordot Chalanpago mayor's office at 9 until noon today. Today and tomorrow they'll be at the Santa Rita Senior Citizen Center from 1 to 5, and then at the Agate mayor's office tomorrow beginning at 10 o'clock. Well, from a press release from the Office of the Vice Speaker, she's raising concerns over a report on the COVID spending. The Vice Speaker now demanding the administration prioritize remaining funds in the CARES Act funding. There's $41 million left. She wants to prioritize that for the hospital and public health. The release states that the CARES Act expenditure report shows a disappointing amount that's been allotted for public health and hospital. The report also raises questions with regard to expenditures for the executive branch COVID payroll. She says it's perplexing that the lead agencies and most critical services are not given high priority. She's now urging the administration to give $41 million in the remaining CARES Act funding to GMH. And a search will be underway for a missing prisoner of war and military personnel off of Guam's waters. A joint region yesterday advised the public that the Department of Defense is seeking to account for missing personnel and will be conducting an underwater survey. They will be in the area of Asin Point, Agana Bay, Pago Bay, Patty Point, and off of Hinopsan. And those are your top stories here on The Point. Here's Ray with your weather.
Oh, my God.
You're reading.
Why did you send me this?
Isn't that irritating?
Oh my God! There was just an eye roll all over the place. So here's Governor Gutierrez in this morning's Pacific Daily News. In his editorial in today's PDM is talking about what a great thing and continuing to be a great thing that Operation Christmas Drop is on the deal. Is it going to report of it? Where's the story? We've got and there is a conversation about even more attention that could be coming to Guam with the visit of the, the half millennium anniversary of Magellan's March 6th arrival. That arguably will bring some good attention to Guam. But anyway,
National
Geographic has done the thing, so we've got Operation Christmas Drop, and most people seem to be happy about it. But there's just a round of people that are going to complain constantly about whatever it is. And there's a bunch of people up in Saipan, Vox, and I'll share the deal with you online. What are they talking about? Is a contamination of the island of Guam. What is this? I'm looking. Virtually every paragraph is something in here that will annoy people that have enjoyed the movie and thought it was a nice thing.
So they interviewed some gal from Saipan who is saying that she's irritated about the infuriated because it essentially ridicules and erases the culture of the indigenous land and the people that have helped raise us. Like, interview somebody from Guam.
Talk to somebody around here, and not Mike Bavacqua. There's a bunch of other people that are thrilled with the opportunity that Netflix came out here and did a story based on Operation Christmas Drop, and yeah, they might have gotten a couple of things wrong, but I don't think they were trying to amplify the quote contamination and militarization of the island of Guam. But there's just way too many people here with way too much time. Most of all, Operation Christmas Drop's romanticization of the military's presence in Guam, along with a heavy dose of the, quote, white savior narrative, feels out of place in an era when the grassroots movement to demilitarize the Marianas continues to grow. Yeah, I barely get to work in the morning because of all of the protests here. The truth is many local island residents have been critical of the growing U.S. military presence in the Marianas. In 2005, the U.S. signed an agreement with Japan to relocate thousands of Marines from Okinawa to Guam due to public health and environmental concerns voiced by Okinawans. If they didn't want the U.S. military, why should local residents in Guam? Because we're Americans and they're Americans, and we're talking about thousands of people coming to Guam with jobs. They've already got jobs. We're we're not importing any more unemployed, uneducated, sick people. We're talking about people with jobs that are going to be coming to the island and eating in the same restaurants as we are, and maybe staying in the same hotels and enjoying the same beach and the culture that we all do. And then they go on to talk about how there it is, these 30% of the island, and everything has been stolen by the military, which are located in uninhabited. Where's that? There's a line in here where they're talking about Operation Christmas Drop, and the guy says, "Well, I've never seen anything like this up in Saipan." Well, we don't need to do a Christmas drop up in Saipan, guys. You have stores. You can go to Joe 10 and some of the other islands in the Northern Marianas that I've personally flown over on Operation Christmas Drop. There's no Joe 10 on those islands. You cannot go get a fishing rod and a reel and some hooks and nails and screws and hammers and those kinds of things that are stuffed in these What do you think? They're sending Barbies over there? In a lot of cases, it's tools and things that people that live on these outer islands, not just in the Marianas, have. I don't know. I'll put the link up there, and you can go back to it and see what it is that they've got to say. Agree, disagree. I mean, there's going to be it's Vox, so you get what you pay for here, guys. Now that's not to say that all news about Operation Christmas Drop is bad. I did not have a chance to read this story yesterday. But popsugar.co.uk, are you familiar with them? They did a story on Kat Graham. Kat isn't just an incredible actress. She's also making a positive change with the roles she takes on. And it goes on to talk about Kat Graham in particular. But here's what she had to say about Guam. The film was also the first Hollywood production to film on Guam. People that are in love with Max Havoc and No Man is not No Man is an Island, but Noon Sunday will say, no, Noon Sunday, Gordon Mayhew, first big movie ever shot on Guam. Anyway, so Graham is made sure to learn about its history when she arrived. Quote, they have a museum there that I went to, so I learned the history of Guam. I learned the positives, the negatives, everything that the people of Guam have gone through, the nature of the people of Guam, and just really got a lot of education on what it looks like. I met with indigenous communities, and they're such beautiful people and loving people with such an intense history, and they deserve to be celebrated and highlighted and profiled and seen all over the world. This is Kat Graham, the star of the movie, Operation Christmas Drop. They're beautiful people and loving people with such an intense history, and they deserve to be celebrated and highlighted and profiled and seen all over the world. They're very important, not because they helped my career. They're important because they're important. I love that. What a great line. And so that's where I'd kind of like to settle on things in the movie, as opposed to everybody saying, oh, it's just the real love interest in the movie isn't Kat Graham and this handsome man in the Jeep that flies the airplane at Christmas Drop. It's the U.S. military and their white savior complex. Wow, just some people just can't. That's why we can't have nice things.
I did not take that away from the movie. Not at all.
That's why we can't have nice things. 878. So now what's going to happen is that there are going to be some airheads over at the legislature that will not read the nice things about Operation Christmas Drop and the idea that Netflix brought actual celebrities to Guam and actual technology to Guam to help film with us. Somebody is going to say, well, we need to do more with our film office here, and we need to make sure that we spend at least 10% of whatever the budget is for the movie and make sure that we've got indigenous artwork in there. We've got to make sure that we've got the indigenous dancers in there. We have to make sure that we have exactly this percentage of brown people or, quote, people of color or, quote, indigenous people in these movies before we allow for the application to be done here on Guam. And I'm sure that they're going to have somebody, they're going to set up a committee. We'll set up a committee to review the script and make sure that it is in line with our history and our culture and all of that before anything else happens. You just know somebody at the legislature is working on that right about now. 8:18, weather on the way. Judge Klitsky's on the line. You wanted to chime in on this, boss?
Yeah, I was wondering where you got that story about bashing the movie, Ray.
It's on Vox is the name of the website. Okay. I'll be happy to send you a copy of it, Vox.com, and it's a section of the Vox.com kind of online magazine where they entertain the notions of a, quote, first person, as in a first-person essay and interviews, etc.
It's going going to be valuable material for this afternoon's Tall Tales, Ray.
Oh, I can hardly wait for it. And you know, with all of the great lines that they've got in there about how we've all been treated, you know, healthy dose of Agent Orange.
Well, Laura Sauter, of course, was the first one to jump on that bandwagon.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I had to deal with that on Tall Tales, but you know, it seems like we're very good at hunting for dark clouds around here. We can't be satisfied with a silver lining. We've got to find a dark cloud somewhere in every story.
And so these guys, I mean, they not just dark clouds here on Guam, but they went up to the CNMI and found people up in the CNMI that were angry about militarization and the conversation of the movie. Propaganda is what they're referring to it as.
Well, we got to do what we got to do, Ray.
we will continue to persist, as they say. In one particularly baffling scene, Graham and Ludwig's characters visited what the movie portrayed to be a small island village that lacks resources such as electricity. Graham's character feels pity for the local children, giving them a used hairbrush and some other accessories, and ultimately her entire bag. You need this more than I do, she says. And they're saying that now it's thought it was a Mother Teresa moment. Guys, it's a movie. It's a movie, and it's bringing positive attention to a mission that has been conducted here since the 1950s that many people are proud of.
And of course, when you're doing a movie for the Christmas market, you don't go out and do a film noir.
We're not doing a documentary here on everything bad that's happened since the first white people came.
The idea is that when people finish the movie, they feel kind of good.
Yeah.
But that won't work for the Laura Souders and the dark cloud searchers of the island. It's probably filming that movie here put more money in people's pockets than anything since the federal government, since pandemic came along. So it was a really good thing from several different directions. And it was a movie.
Yep. And well, as you say, dark cloud hunters abound. Some people just need, as I say, a chill pill from time to time. 8:21, looking forward to you at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Bob Klitsky and Tall Tales.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, and then we'll send you that. I will bounce the link to you that Mana had sent to me, vox.com, hashtag first person or / first person or something like that. Was I supposed to do weather? There is weather today. I'm sorry. I just roll my eyes. I can't believe this. What is this? Is everything bad since Magellan? Was it just all downhill from there? Yeah, but we got the dancers, right? Doesn't wearing a Sanahi make you feel better?
Yeah.
Anyway, risk of rip currents through Saturday afternoon along east-facing reefs. Today, expect mostly cloudy, light rain, scattered locally, heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms, then scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms this afternoon. Southeast winds up to about 20 miles an hour. It'll gust to about 25 in showers this morning, then ease up to about 20 miles an hour this afternoon. And then the weather's supposed to get progressively better. It's supposed to get progressively better. Word from the National Weather Service over the next couple of days. We got the snotty weather today. Tomorrow it is going to be partly cloudy, isolated showers, and he said by Thursday, Thanksgiving Thursday, while you're having your outdoor activities with your Thanksgiving folks that came to your house with their own food, drinks, plates, utensils and cups, you should be able to enjoy some drier, windier weather on Thanksgiving Day. Sunset tonight is going to be at 5:50. Hashtag tell the others. It's 8:23. News and weather together here on The Point.
Half a day. This is Michelle from APL Guam. Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated teams in Guam and on the U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit apl.com. More and more, scammers are using emails to impersonate your bank in an attempt to steal your information and money. A big red flag that someone is phishing is an urgent call to action with a link to click. Once clicked, you'll be asked to enter some of your information. Some recent phishing emails request that you click a link to review a transaction you're unaware of. Bottom line, if you don't trust it, don't click it. And to be extra safe, delete the message immediately. This phishing protection tip is brought to you by Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
It's the Ray Gibson Show, portion of which brought to you by the guys over at FHP. Have you been there yet? Do you have an appointment? Keep your appointment. I know at PCOR 1, I don't want to go outside. I might get sick. Don't worry about it. It's FHP. This is safe like you're in God's pocket when you're there. Everything is sanitized. Everything's cleaned up. They'll take your temperature, and you'll see the doc, and you're going to be all right. So just go and keep things going over at the FHP place. 824 Ray Gibson Show, also brought to you by Mezcla Dos and Mezcla. They got the hot new thing going over in Agana. You can buy the Denancy and take it home with you, or you can just have them set it up and maybe grab and grub and good to go can deliver. Don't know what's on the menu? It's all going to be good. Mezclados.com for the full menu. Give them a call at 646-6295. Get everything set up, would you?
Real Talk Radio is back. Welcome to The Point, Guam's FM News Talk Superstation.
Talking beer next hour, just FYI. I mean, if that's okay with the activists, there's a beer here, new beers from the Guam Brewery, receiving excellent reviews. I gave you my excellent review of the was it Island IPA the other day?
Yeah,
tasty, didn't burn my face. Because you get a lot of, sometimes like there's some bitters and hoppiness in it.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. It just kind of burns your face, kind of numbs you out. Not this stuff. This is good. And you'll drink 3 or 4 of them, and then you look at the can and go, wow, I'm feeling kind of groovy. Why is that? Because it's got 6.2% alcohol by volume in there. Yeah. But by then, you can't stop. You can't stop. Just go lay down. Just somebody lay down. And I'll tell you what, that was my nightcap last night. That was my nightcap. I'd gone to the Speakeasy, had a good time with friends, talking about all kinds of things. Got home, and I thought, maybe just one more, right? But 6.2, baby. 6.2. I had great dreams. I'll just tell you that right now. Anyways, we're going to be talking about that in the next hour. I just suppose as long as it's okay with everybody, Guam Brewery, et cetera. I'm sure there's somebody going, well, there's homage to militarization. Only the military drinks beer. Oh, wait, it's locally brewed? Using local ingredients, local flavors. We'll talk about that and more. 888-8255-888-TALK. I don't know. There are a couple of thoughts in my head here. And there was something in Fox News. Do you remember where they were saying that they're going to suspend alcohol sales?
No.
That's the end of the world. That's, as far as I'm concerned, it better be the pandemic they sold us in March if you're going to take that aggressive step of banning alcohol sales. I think it's Pennsylvania to ban alcohol sales at bars and restaurants, but only for one night.
Oh.
What the hell?
That's cute.
What's wrong with these people? Let me see. I read some of this article here to get an idea of just what exactly is going through their heads as they just whatever. We're going to try something here different. That's what we're going to do. Is we're going to try something different and see if that doesn't halt the spread. State officials laid out new COVID-19 mitigation efforts, but stopped short of issuing a statewide stay-at-home order. Instead, advising Pennsylvanians to stay home and putting a one-night ban on alcohol sales Wednesday, before Thursday, Thanksgiving. New orders also scale back the maximum capacity for indoor and outdoor gatherings, capping outdoor limits for the largest venues at 10% capacity up to 2,500. The stay-at-home advisory from Governor Tom Wolf on Monday is just that, an advisory, and is more of a plea than a requirement. He asked residents to heed the advisory for the state of the state's health care system, which is currently seeing more hospitalized COVID patients than at any time in the pandemic. We've been trying to do everything we can to make sure we never have to go back to the red, yellow, green set of draconian steps we did back then. Be noted that he hasn't thought of anything that would force the state into another shutdown, and trying to balance the needs of a very fragile economy with the needs for all of us to keep safe. Among the mitigation efforts is an order halting alcohol sales at all bars and restaurants at 5 p.m. Wednesday until 8 a.m. Thursday, the night before Thanksgiving. Wolf noted in one of the biggest drinking nights of the year, and Wolf said the one-night stay on on-premise sales is eliminating one more opportunity for the virus to spread. Just one night. It's a one-night lockdown. It's going to be okay. But this is the thing. This is a litmus test, man. I guarantee this is the way that these bedwetters think. Is we'll do this for one night, and if people put up with it, then we can do it again for as long as we want to. We're only shutting down for one night, and then pretty soon it'll be, it's only going to be a week. That's all, just a week. It's only going to be 2 weeks. It'll only be a month. What do they do in Britain? What have they done in Britain? They banned all of the alcohol sales and the pubs and everything.
Yeah.
And what about here? Any sign, anything out there that could indicate that the bars are going to be open anytime soon? What car score do we have to be for how long before venue can open back up? And what car score do we have to be for how long before Kitchen Lingo? Oh, they're out of business. What car score for how long do we have to be open for to go and get a beer or a pizza over at Chuck E. Cheese? Oh, they're out of business too. They're out of business. How many different bars and restaurants on Guam have seen their last days because they just can't hold on anymore? 8:30 in the morning. My very close, very dear personal friend Mark Cruz is on the line. Up from Mutkus.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right. A little annoyed at that Vox article.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I'm probably going to feel the same way you did. I met one of the pre-production guys at the Point like 3 or 4 months before they actually showed up here to do shooting, and he was out here, and we had a good time listening to Louise and Phil, and just sat there and enjoyed the company, and he made it sound good, and I'm actually pretty happy with the outcome and the product.
Well, the outcome is a movie that a lot of people were watching it, and according to at least one note that I saw, was briefly at #1 on the Netflix top 10. That's worldwide, babe.
Yeah, and it's still in the top 10 right now. I was looking last night, and it was still in the top 10 as of last night. But the reason I'm calling was the whole thing about alcohol and restaurants.
Yeah.
My 2 favorite places, my 3 favorite places to eat. When I get off the airplane, I go straight to In-N-Out in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's either Ruth's Chris or House of Prime Rib. And House of Prime Rib has to-go orders, and they've got big giant sections of their prime rib that you can buy as a whole rib cut, or you can cut it into whatever the individual slices are. But one of the article or one of the ads in Facebook they had was, don't forget to order our signature cocktails. So I was like, wait a minute, you can order the prime rib to go and get the signature cocktail to go as well.
Because it's America. It's freedom, America. Yeah. They're trying to do that here. The bunch of chambers and the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association, they've got the legislation is there. It's already there. But I don't think our brave and courageous members of the legislature are going to do anything with it because they're all freaked out that somebody is going to get that cocktail, which should be in a sealed container. Which should be more difficult to open and do something with out of behind the wheel of an automobile. They're worried that people are going to go and get a drink at the restaurant and then drive into a pole or a bus stop filled with kids or something like that. Although the very same thing can be done right now. It doesn't have to be from a bar or a restaurant. You can go right now to a gas station or a mom and pop store, buy a 6-pack of beer, drink it, and plow into that same other car, that same telephone pole, or that same bus stop with kids.
Yep.
So
and
is this
actually cheaper?
Yeah, it's probably cheaper to do it that way. Yeah, a 6-pack of beer versus I'm trying to figure out who would buy a beer from a restaurant. So give me a cheeseburger and give me one of those $6 beers that I can buy for $1 at any gas station on Guam. Love that. But yeah. I don't the legislature, I think they're trying to figure out if we can attach all of the 10-foot poles together so that they don't actually have to address that. Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your day. And, hey, don't forget to read that article I sent you about that guy who rented the SUV and then sued.
If it's not too long, I will read it. That's my thing these days. Even something as important as the car score, and I think the governor's office has put together a video explaining how the car score works. But the problem is it's 6 minutes long. It's 6 minutes long, Mark. I don't have that kind of time anymore.
It's 4 minutes too long.
Exactly. I mean, if the car score is so complicated, it takes that long to explain. If it is so complicated that Felix Cabrera has to spend an hour with Cousin Troy on Candid News, then maybe we need to come up with something that's a little bit easier for people to follow along, so that we're all on the same page, and we might be able to hit this 5. And like I said, when they go, well, you got to 5. Maybe if we get to 3 people of Guam, maybe then we can have 11 people at your Christmas party. Dude, I got to run. I'll see you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, buddy. 888-8255, The Vox Story. Many Pacific Islanders are not having it with this movie. Not having it with this movie. Where's the line? It negatively represents Chamorros, one native Chamorro resident on Guam said in a viral TikTok video. Viral? Huh. I'll show you viral in a second. It makes it seem like the military are our heroes when in reality they're thieves. They take away sacred land so they can build a shooting range, and they lie to us about it. And they don't care about our concerns as locals and as indigenous people here on Guam. Wow. If it hurts to watch the movie, if you're going to get butthurt watching Operation Christmas Drop, don't watch it, okay? Just, can we not have that? I can see these guys sitting around having a watch party and just getting mad, throwing stuff at their video monitors. 8:35 in the morning. Mana, what do you say? Headlines? Okay. We'll do that after these.
We all need to fight COVID-19, and we need all the weapons we can get to beat it. Your smartphone can be one of the most powerful tools to battle this pandemic. The Guam COVID Alert Exposure Notification app can let you know if you've been exposed to someone who has the virus. Add your phone to the COVID fight by going to guamcovidalert.guam.gov or download it from the App Store or Google Play now. Help Guam stop COVID-19.
Oh, KFC, oh, KFC, original and crispy. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. KFC wants to make your busy holiday season a little easier with KFC's complete holiday feast. That's 12 pieces of KFC's original chicken, 3 large homestyle sides, 4 biscuits, and a free chocolate chip cake. Or try the 6-piece meal with our new sweet potato fries. Happy holidays from KFC Guam. It's finger-licking good.
What? This day just keeps getting worse. Yeah, I got a note. Apparently on Instagram, there's a thing. Hold on, I gotta press a button here. Dave Torrey sends this to me, and it's a Poke Fry Instagram, and it says,
no, don't say it.
Closed. Due to the economic challenges of COVID-19, Poke Fry had to close its Dededo location. We want to thank all our patrons and for all of their support. Poke Fry will continue to strive to serve our island community with great service and delicious food. So the Agana store is still open.
Oh, a little bit of hope.
But Dededo is closed. Well, I mean,
they
it's
just
open.
opened it.
They just opened it. It was, I want to say, about a year ago that they opened, and they were able to keep business going for a couple of months. You know, everybody's got their challenges, but here we are. Another Guam business is closed down because of COVID-19 and the lack of attention that is being paid on the private sector economy. The public sector, the employees, everybody's getting paid. Right? Don't seem to have any problem with coming up with payroll for people in the government of Guam. Everybody that won the lottery there. Private businesses, screw you. What? What are you, for-profit people? How dare you invest in the local economy? How dare you hire people? So all of the people that worked over at Poke Fry up in Dededo, they're probably gone. I don't know if they were able to absorb them into the Agana shop. I mean, it's the Agana shop is you can't go inside. Got a nice little bar on the inside there that nobody's walked into that place since March of this year. Poke Fry claims another victim of COVID-19. And again, I'm going to put this where it belongs, and the lack of attention on the private sector by the governor and the government of Guam. And that's all there is to it. Change the picture, for God's sakes. It's 8:38, time for the 8:30 news with Mana Silver Tyron.
53 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported. That's out of 773 tests that were conducted. The latest JIC report says there are 48 people in the hospital, 8 people in the intensive care unit, with 4 of those on ventilators. As of yesterday's report from the JIC, Guam's CAR score at 9. BBMR is closed until further notice after an employee there tested positive. The office will be sanitized and all staff will be tested. And not guilty on all counts. That's the verdict from the jury trial of the Mark Torrey Jr. case yesterday. The verdict after 4 days of deliberations. Torrey had been charged with the 2015 shooting death of fellow police officer Sergeant Bert Piolo. And those are your top stories here on The Point.
Man, I'm sad. That's sad. Pokey Fry.
Yeah.
And I'd never been to that one either because it's not near my house. But I know people that put a lot of energy into getting that place open. 20 away from 9 o'clock in the morning. So what are you going to do the rest of the day? What do you got going on?
None, yeah.
I mean, none, yeah.
None of your business.
Yeah. Is that like Famunda? Don't make me explain Famunda on the radio. I got in trouble the last time I did that. 20 away from 9 o'clock in the morning. Next hour, we're going to be talking about beers, the Island IPA and Guam Gold Cream Ale. A couple of beers that they're concentrating on. I know they do more, and I probably should have asked about it because they sent me a case. 12 of one, 12 of the other. And like I said, not a big IPA guy, right? So I was, drinking the gold ales. Man, that's a good flavor. And I burned through the first cold 6-pack of that. And I thought, well, I don't have any more cold beers except for the Island IPAs. I guess I'm drinking that now. Yeah, 10 barbecues later. I'm just saying, it's something that you ought to do. Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of days, and if you're wondering what to treat your 5 guests to, the 5 other people that the governor says can come to your house, then I want you to try out these, and we'll talk about them with the new brewmaster here before too much longer. In 20 minutes, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll be right back.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro in Hagåtña and Mezcla Dos Upper Tumon are now open for takeout and delivery services. For more information, call now at 479-2652 or 3 or Mezcla Dos at 646-6295. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with the true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine at the comfort of your own home. They take your local favorite dishes and serve them with extra flair you will only find at Mezcla. Mezcla, a true taste of Guam.
Is it my turn? Portions of the program brought to you by the team, and they are a team. That's the way they live their lives over at Nissan. They got guys, and their job, make it shiny. Whatever it is, make it shiny. Armor all that one, why don't you, boy? And we got rentals, and we got stuff that you can buy, including the 2020 Pathfinder. And I love this car. This is the one. It'll take you home all by itself. It knows where. It's not one of those automatic cars. It just knows where you live. You get so comfortable in this thing. Like I said, it feels like it drives itself. 3 rows of seating, tons of cargo space. Got a nice little V6 under the hood, but it still delivers almost 300 horsepower. So you got to try this thing out. Get a test drive in over at Nissan. Why do I want you shopping at Nissan for your next ride? Because they're put together these incredible deals. How about this? Cheap financing, 1.99%. Oh my God. 1.99, guys. We got brand new Nissan starting as low as $84 a pay period. But even better, this is the best part, is they'll make the first 3 payments for you. Did you catch that? First 3 payments on Nissan. Test drive today. Ann Bloss, Carlo Guanlao, and Jan Pamintuan want to take you for a ride at Nissan.
Okay, Google. Hey, Siri. Hi, Bixby.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Open the Point app. Opening.
Live stream, on demand, swap stations. Check out the visual radio. Get the free app available on the App Store and Google Play, or go to thepoint.gu.
Huh. 8:42 in the morning. 888-825-5888 is the telephone number around here. And I was thinking, and I'm not sure why, but I was thinking about Carlotta Leon Guerrero in the last 24, 48 hours. I don't know, the memories. I remember when she was producer for John Anderson back in the day, hanging out with Felix Camacho and his team. And like I said, just kind of drifted around my head, and also thinking about a particularly groovy night that we had at the front yard of what is now the Fiesta Hotel back in the day.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Do you remember that car?
I do, and there were some other groovy nights. I think it was Getting You Home After Mike with Three Letters Wedding.
No, that was his bachelor party.
Bachelor party.
That was
another groovy night.
that was the bachelor party. So clearly, we've got some fun history behind us. And speaking of history, front page of today's Guam Pacific Daily News: questions over potential conflict of interest. We've got Patrick Lujan, who was the State Historic Preservation Officer. I don't know. Now we've got in the same article a question Senator Therese Terlai pointed out. It's unclear when and if Lujan was ever formally assigned as the permanent State Historic Preservation Officer, taking over for Linda from back in the day when there was before COVID-19 when that was the big controversy. So let me see if I can work backwards from there. Patrick Lujan elevated the position of the SHPO for Guam, and that's the kind of the in between the government, the people of Guam, and the military on build-up related issues and the preservation of our history and culture. About right, Carlotta?
You've got it kind of right. And I guess I'm just kind of trying to zero in on Senator Therese's concerns because it seems to be of a logistical nature. She was scheduled to have an oversight hearing on the programmatic agreement that's currently being worked on. And so I figured it was going to be a far-ranging discussion, and those kinds of questions could come up at that time, where if she needs to be reassured of this date and this legal opinion or this moment or that moment. So that can all be, ironed out, if you will. It's just a little arm wrestling.
Well, yeah. Well, who is the actual SHPO, though? I mean, has he been confirmed, or is it a position that needs to be confirmed with advice and consent?
I am right now the acting SHPO. Patrick is has been deployed.
Yes.
And while he's deployed, somebody had to step in. So the governor used her legal authority to put me there. And what I've been saying in all these different interviews is that I feel it's the logical choice because I've been representing her in all of these meetings since she came into office and reading all the documents. So, Linda retires, Patrick gets deployed. The government of Guam is constantly dealing with the very human nature of people movement and other, responsibilities that pull. And then you step in at that moment, at that time to do your best to cover. And that's what this is. Just what happens when fire departments have to cover for people that get deployed.
Even at the legislature, Vice Speaker Talana Nelson is currently deployed over there. So I mean, this is not new. This has happened in the history of the government of Guam before.
Right.
And I guess and I don't know who's asking the question or why it hadn't come up prior to this, but now people, even Paps Martinez calling up, going, well, it's an obvious conflict of interest, with Patrick Lujan, who is the SHPO, but he's also wearing the uniform of the United States military. So who is his allegiance going to be to as we move through these conversations and these discussions? And I'm going, well, it hasn't been an issue before. Why is it an issue now?
Yeah. Patrick's allegiance, I can assure everybody, is he is a son of Guam. And when he looks at what he needs to look at and the decisions that he makes, that's how he looks at it, as a son of Guam.
And that's my understanding from conversations that I've had with him on the air and off the air. I mean, he understands, where the delineation is, and his role as an officer in the Air Force Reserve generally has nothing to do with historic preservation or negotiations of programmatic agreements.
I can assure you in all the different meetings and conversations and workshops and everything that we have been to, and the discussions that we have, I think that we have been well served by him, and I'm trying my best now to get up to speed to carry on this workload and responsibilities until he gets back, working with the team that is there, getting to learn how to work with them.
Sure.
And I I think the big thing that I bring there is coming from the governor's office is to say to them, what are your staffing needs? What are your equipment needs? What can we do with regular funding sources? The idea is to get the SHPO's office up to vigilant, timely review of the important documents that come their way so that they can keep up with the needs of the military buildup.
And now this is
coming from the governor's office. I think they're going, she's getting these laptops. Oh, they're getting training. They're cutting loose this impediment on accessing a licensing agreement on some technology. So I think that's what I'm bringing in right now, because there's a good team there that already knows what to do.
Well, I've read some of the letters from the new team that have expressed their concerns about Linda coming back and hoping that there is a new direction for the SHPO office and that they get the resources that they need. So I'm glad that people are putting some kind of fire on that. But it is for those of you that are concerned that that there is a conflict of interest or harmony of interest as you want to refer to it as. My understanding is that Patrick is a hard grader and asks the hard questions when he's interfacing with his military counterparts.
Very much so, very, very much so. And for now, my big responsibility is to help the office get staffed and equipped and funded. I've talked with the Speaker about that. I've talked with Senator Therese Terlahi about that. The governor, that's what she's told me to do. So that's on my plate right now, as well as getting the programmatic agreement for the training and testing agreement signed with the Department of the Navy by December 31st. So we're in a comment period on that right now, and this agreement is already 100% better than what is on the books governing us right now.
Okay, so the last question, I suppose, on the subject is Patrick Lujan the subject of somebody's witch hunt, or are we trying to derail him as the SHPO, acting or otherwise, and bring somebody else in? Otherwise, why the question of a conflict of interest, even though nobody's really complained about it in the past?
You know what I think? I think what this comes
is it politics,
from
Carr? Is it politics out somewhere?
No. What I would say is I think that in the beginning, when Patrick was going off, there was a preliminary plan where he thought that he would be able to wear both hats, not get any pay for being a SHPO, use his evening hours because his wife and kids aren't there, so he's just going to be sitting around a barracks, I guess. So use his evening hours to take on this extra responsibility, using the team there, and then me from the governor's office also being a part of meetings, and Jessica Toff from the Attorney General's office. So he thought that there would be enough, but then we asked him to get an opinion from his JAG about this, and it came back that there is no conflict of because he's not on contracts. He's not working on contracts. But if you were having a role in determining contracts or who got contracts, that would be a conflict. So they said this is where it would exist. So, and then out of an abundance of caution, the Adelup decided, okay, then let's just bring up Carlotta next. She's been in all the meetings. She's read all the documents. You're on deck until Patrick gets back. Yeah. So there might have been this initial thinking that, oh, is that the way it was going to be? But it never happened. It was just something that was like a guy willing to carry on his workload for no extra money, being advised that would be skating too close to the possible edges, so let's not. No,
I thought the fact that he wore a uniform was actually more beneficial to his understanding of what the complexities were going to be from the military perspective and their build-up initiatives.
Well, you know, everybody brings what they have to this role, and he brings that. I was born on Offutt Air Force Base. I'm an Air Force brat. I was raised in.
Well, so you don't have to qualify by saying you're an Air Force brat. You can just say I'm a brat. It's all right. I am.
But I bring that understanding of the Air Force or Okinawa and Anderson when they are in full militarization mode. So I really can see and know what enhanced militarization activity is going to look like.
Well, and also former senator, so you understand policies. So I mean, just we've got some good people in the right place. And what else are you doing in the administration? You and I haven't talked for a while. What's going on? What else is happening?
Well, the other thing that I'm working on is the Compact of Free Associations are up for negotiations. And so I worked with the governor, and she came up with 5 positions that she wants included either by the executive branch or by the Congress to get some equity into this relationship with Micronesia.
Boy,
so,
there's an old Carlotta story. Hi, I'm Carlotta Leon Guerrero, and I sued Bill Clinton.
You know, that was the very first time I ever sued anybody. And when I was doing that, I had to do it in district court. It was called Leon Guerrero versus Clinton. And there was all these people around me. I'll never forget this, Ray, because my hand was actually shaking. I'd never sued anybody, and now I was signing these documents. So it was like, welcome to the big leagues of policy. You know, you want to come in and affect big change. You got to, even though you're a little scared, you sometimes have to jump in.
Well,
so that was that moment.
But that was, and that will give people a sense of how long we've needed to have a conversation with Washington, D.C., try to sit at the same side of the table in these negotiations, because Guam has not gotten the what we need or what we have expended to be as hospitable as possible to people that now have migrated to Guam. It used to be a conversation of you're coming here for education, you're coming here for a job, you're coming here for health reasons, and now it's a question of, well, no, I've moved to Guam, I've moved my family to Guam, and in too many cases we find people that have now become wards of the island for which we are not compensated by the federal government. And there needs to be a conversation about that. And frankly, we haven't had it. We've touched bases, and we've sent letters to all of the right people, but at the end of the conversations and the letters, there is still no concrete new policy that addresses that, even to the point where we are recompensed by the federal government for those expenses.
Well, I think that what has happened now is what I've got great hopes for is that the Senator Lisa Murkowski asked the General Accounting Office to do a study of all the impacted areas across America because of these compact treaties. Mm-hmm. And she wants that done so they'll have it in hand when they come back to renegotiate. So what's good about that is it's not just a Guam story with no voting member of Congress is standing up saying we've got a problem. Yeah. Now you see that those issues across Arkansas, Oklahoma, et cetera. And to give you an idea of, the governor is pushing for Medicaid for all of them wherever they're at, even if they're in Chuk or they're in Pohnpei. And they had Medicaid for the first 10 years of their compacts. They just got knocked off by Gingrich and Clinton when welfare got reformed. So to put them back on, because right now, in every single jurisdiction where the Micronesians have set up communities, they are leading their communities in numbers of being affected by the COVID virus. And it's because of lack of early access to preventive care. So these arguments are now coming in where you're seeing, commonalities. And so the argument of getting them onto Medicaid becomes stronger because now you've got these other voting senators and representatives agreeing.
Well, I
think that's what's strengthening. I think that's strengthening.
I'm not sure where they are on that, but my spidey sense tells me that we're probably, again, not going to be invited to have the conversation and count on people at the Department of the Interior to carry the water for us. But they've got to carry it for the rest of the country as well. So we'll see what happens. 8:57, Carr, it's always a delight talking to you, and hope we get a chance to see each other soon.
Much.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
And Ray.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. And one other thing I always wanted to say, thank you so much for always paying attention to Island Girl Power and Juanita Blas and everything that goes on over there. It's always much, much, much appreciated.
Father of a daughter, hello. One of my favorite things, and I've always said this about Juanita and Island Girl Power, all of the opportunities that they give to show the ladies of Guam, the young women of Guam, that it's not just your boyfriend, it's not just the mall, it's not just whoever you're hanging out with on social media. There are literally literally thousands of doors that you need to be curious about opening just to see what's on the other side. Could be something there for you.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, that's my view. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Love you, mean it.
Okay.
All right, Carlano Leon Guerrero from the governor's office, acting SHPO, and I don't know that it answered any of the questions that I walked into the conversation with. There it is, SHPO currently on active duty. Questions over potential conflicts of interest, and I'm going. This is a nothing burger of a story. In my mind, I'm trying to figure out who decided that they were going to attack Patrick Lujan, but I will tell you, never bet against Patrick. Number one, and number two. He don't need me to take care of him. He's very, very handy himself at being able to redirect fire, if you know what I mean. Closing out on 8:59 in the morning. 888-8255 is the telephone number around here. Got a bunch of people that are floating around on the Facebook Live, who I love. Ike Kosecki, Simon Sanchez, John Onanich is there. Hoffa, good morning. Rick Tenorio, Bertman and Sala, Carlene Harker saying Hoffa day to Ray. I think it was Pam Duvall who said that she saves all of her Ziploc bags, and all of them have cannabis residue on them one way or the other. Not sure why, but happy to hear about it. MT Farron is there. Vince Areola. Patty Ugwin is online. Jose Martinez. And there's, like I said, Randy Landis, whose suggestion is never mind strive for 5. Strive for pi. I love the way you think, Randy. All right, as I said, coming up, I think we're going to be spending some time talking about beer. Guam Brewery, in particular, a new brew master that they've got there, and this may be just for my own personal edification, because my name is Ray and I love beer. Fox News Live now, playing on the point.
Michigan certifies. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Michigan's statewide canvassing board has voted to certify the election results in the state in favor of President-elect Joe Biden. It's another setback in the Trump campaign's efforts to challenge the election outcome in several states. Georgia will begin in the morning counting its ballots again.
When a candidate is within 0.5%, that's their right to ask for a recount. We'll be running those ballots through our high-speed scanners, and we'll give you that result. We fully expect it'll be very similar to the first two results.
Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger on Fox's Bill Hemmer reports. President-elect Biden naming several appointees to his White House management team Monday.
Longtime aide Tony Blinken as the Secretary of State, Jake Sullivan, a close Clinton advisor, as National Security Advisor, and Alejandro Mayorkas as the DHS Secretary.
Fox's Peter Ducey reports Mr. Biden is also tapping Avril Haines to serve as the Director of National Intelligence. If confirmed, she'd be the first woman to hold that job. And sources tell Fox News former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen will be picked as Treasury Secretary next week. The president-elect and vice president-elect met electronically with nearly 50 of the nation's mayors on Monday to get their input about what to do about increasing coronavirus cases. Another vaccine candidate has done well in late-stage clinical trials. AstraZeneca says its vaccine is at least 90% effective against the virus. It will submit its data for FDA approval. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar telling Fox News the first inoculations could be done in about 3 weeks from now.
We believe by that second quarter of next year we'll have enough vaccine FDA authorized for every American, and that's, of course, what you'd want to do towards getting to vaccine-induced herd immunity.
On Wall Street, stocks closed higher Monday. The Dow gained 327 points. NASDAQ added 25. The S&P 500 up 20. America is listening to Fox News.
Everyone has a busy schedule these days, and sometimes we forget to schedule our routine dental checkup and cleaning. Don't neglect your dental health. Schedule one today with Dr. Robert Yang and his Smile team, conveniently located at the East West Business Center on Marine Drive, Upper Tumon. Call us today at 647-8702 or 3. Again, that's 647-8702 or 647-8703. We make smiles happen.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
New coronavirus restrictions. Pennsylvania's Governor Tom Wolf issuing a stay-at-home advisory.
All of us need to be vigilant about taking safety precautions and following COVID mitigation measures. And that includes following CDC guidance to stay home and not travel for the holidays.
Oregon limiting family gatherings to just 6 people. How will they know? Governor Kate Brown suggests neighbors could call the cops. Several law enforcement agencies say they will not be enforcing executive orders about gathering size or curfews. Fresno County, California Sheriff Margaret Mims.
When the governor talks about this curfew between 10 at night till 5 in the morning, it's a head scratcher. Is this virus so smart that it's not going to infect people if they're not in their homes by 9:59? We all make our own decisions about what's best for our communities.
Sheriff Mims says the local district attorney tells her she won't file charges against curfew violators. There's another big automotive recall. Airbag inflators again.
General Motors is recalling nearly 6 million trucks and SUVs with Takata airbag inflator canisters to repair them. GM contended the canisters have been safe on the road and in testing, and it petitioned the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration 4 times since 2016 to avoid a recall. However, owners demanded repairs, and now the government has ordered the recall. Drivers can check the NHTSA website to see if their truck or SUV is involved. It's believed the repairs will cost GM more than $1 billion. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
A federal appeals court has ruled that Texas and Louisiana can cut off funding to Planned Parenthood clinics, reversing earlier decisions stemming from legal battles over abortion. The holiday season has arrived at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. A horse-drawn carriage delivering the White House Christmas tree on Monday. It's an 18.5-foot Fraser fir from West Virginia. I'm Jack Callahan. This is Fox News.
Are you fed up with those long bank lines? Do you wish you had a bank who gave you faster service? Well, by enrolling in Bank Pacific's new mobile app, you don't even need to wait in line. But even if you do want to come down in person, we're more than happy to see your smiling face, as long as you have a mask. Because our service is so good, we don't believe in lines. Because for 66 years, we've been making sure you get the service you deserve. Because where others put branches, we place roots. And we're rooting for you. Member FDIC.
Becoming a homeowner can be a scary process, but it doesn't have to be, especially if you have the right guidance. Break through your fears and go to a real estate professional that will ensure a higher chance of success. That person is Lolita Camet of RE/MAX Diamond Realty. Lolita also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. Don't be afraid. Call Lolita Camet from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Portions of the program brought to you by Chili's. They got the 2 for $35 dinner deal. You grab an appetizer. You figure out what it is that you're going to share appetizer-wise. Go for the, they've got onion rings over there, which are delightful, and a great dipping sauce that they've got. A couple of Coca-Cola fountain drinks, and then any 2 entrees. And they've got a list of entrees. You're going to be fighting over who's going to get what, including baby back ribs, chicken fajitas, bacon burgers, and more. Available every day, 3 at closing for patio dining. You can get takeout, obviously, over at Chili's. I think they invented the concept. Call 648-7377 or WhatsApp them at 929-7376.
Any speaker, anytime. The Ray Gibson Show.
Oh, that guy.
Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
6 after 9 o'clock in the morning. It is the Ray Gibson Show, 93.3 The Point, and it is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And now I strategically timed the following conversation to be prior to Thanksgiving, because there's so much going on. There's so many. Everybody's going to be getting together and doing gatherings, and among the important things to put together, obviously, is a fantastic menu. We got turkeys and hams and steamboats and whatever, and stuffings and sides and that kind of thing. But how much time have you pondered as you put together your Thanksgiving activities and festivities? How much time have you pondered thinking about what it is that your guests are going to drink? Water and punch for the kids? For me, I like beer. I'm a beer guy. I like my beer. Generally, don't drink anything else. I will from time do a little shooter or something like that. But for the most part, I like beer. I think it's tasty, and I'm delighted now to have in the studio a guy named Andrew Brunson. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good to be here, man.
Well, welcome to Guam. Well, so now, as I understand the story, you were supposed to be the lead role in the movie Operation Christmas Drop. Is that correct? Is that how you got here?
I must have been a bit drunk. I don't remember that happening at all.
No, it's okay. I just want to see if I can tie in a couple of different things, but because you're the new brewmaster over at Guam Brewery, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
And I'm looking at and you maybe people watching on Facebook Live and YouTube Live and the point.g, you looking at going, wait a second. So he's got the beard. So he's got that going. Almost every brewmaster I've ever known in my life has got a beard. So he's got that happening. But you don't look old enough to be a brewmaster. How long have you been doing this, Andrew?
I've been doing it pretty much since college. So back when I was like maybe a junior in college, I picked up a part-time job helping a craft brewery out with their canning line, which was just a killer gig for college because I'd help out for a couple hours on Saturday, and they'd send me home with a case of beer for my efforts. Which was
literally, was that the pay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So which
is great.
So you go from in a canning operation.
Yeah.
Okay, so now give me a little bit of background on that, because I've seen canning, but not on a massive or scale. So I mean, do a canning, bottling, that kind of thing in craft shops, right? I mean, how much work is involved there?
It's not that big of a canning operation. So like our canning machine over here can do like a case and a half a minute, which sounds like a lot, but when you're trying to supply all the restaurants and bars and all that.
And there are a number. We'll get around to talking about all of that kind of thing. So at which point did you go from, okay, he knows how the canning machine works, to let's see if he can sort out how to put together all of the different ingredients that go into making beer?
Well, I was a home brewer as well. So it's like me and my two buddies, we would basically get together every weekend, brew some beer, drink a whole bunch of it. So it was a really fun hobby. And then I was going to school for biology as well, so like the skill set's kind of already there. And then also like I was just tinkering with machines and stuff all the time. Like I was working at an auto parts store and stuff.
So I'm going to tell you, I did home brewery as well. I had a Mr. Beer kit.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. I mean, just you're not going to be taking over Budweiser or anything in a couple of days.
But you're going to have fun, and that's the important part.
Exactly. And I thought that was the greatest thing about it, is after you get a couple of batches with even a simple like Mr. Beer kit on you, pretty soon you start going, all right, well, I'm not going to use the sugar that comes with the pack. I'm going to put honey in this, or I'm going to see if I can put some coconut sugar or those kinds of things. Looking around in the pantry to see what I can replace to make something that is unique, and then you wait out 6 or 7 weeks, and then you drink it, and you go, yeah, that was good. I think maybe I'll do it again, or that didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out, or let's try something different.
Yeah.
That's the fun of that kind of homebrew.
Of course, that's what I love about it. Like if I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be here. Life's too short.
Amen.
But yeah, fiddling around with that stuff, it was good fun. I was doing a ton of that. Like even when I first started brewing professionally, I was on the pilot system a lot, just like brewing goofy stuff, because you can do whatever you want on
Let's
a pilot
throw
system.
watermelon rind in there and see what happens. And those are, as I said, some of the fun games that you can play. Advice for home brewers. I mean, what's a thing that you need to know if you're going to go and exercise this hobby? There's a lot of people, COVID-19, got nothing but time on their hands. We're not traveling, so we got plenty of money in our bank accounts. We're not eating at fancy restaurants, so there's lots of dough in the accounts. And maybe somebody's looking for a new hobby. If you were to get into home brewing, what are some of the things that you need to know?
Well, I mean, there's two things. So the first one is like being clean, because you don't want any like bacteria growing in there or anything like that.
Yes.
And the second thing is there's an Adam Savage quote. I don't know if you like MythBusters when it was on TV, but he's the only difference between science and goofing around is taking notes. So if you wanna brew a decent beer and then be able to brew it again, like bring a notepad.
This is how much water I put in. This is how much sugar I put in.
Exactly.
This is the kind of hops and whatever. These are the ingredients, and how much of whatever it is that you put in there.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why. Okay. So I like to cook. Right. So the same thing. I'm trying to perfect the Japanese have a thing called hamburger, which is basically it's a hamburger steak, but they've got pork in it, and there's all these different flavors that you can play around with. Sometimes you throw Worcestershire sauce in there. Sometimes you put some oyster sauce. So I'm always meddling with the recipe one way or the other, and have yet to write it down so that I can come up with the same flavors that I want, and then recreate that at will. So what you're saying is make sure that you keep copious notes of what's going on, because it's weeks between when you start putting everything together to the time that we've gone through the first and second fermentation process. You'll forget what you put in there, right?
Oh, most definitely. And like, I'm not smart to begin with. I'll for sure forget it.
But that helps with the creativity angle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, do you still do that, or do you have time for that now that you're mastering?
We have a pilot system. I haven't gotten it set up yet because like the first month I got out here, we were just going through like every single little part of the brewery, everything, making sure it was working, making sure it's good. Because like it's totally cool to like, you know, goof a homebrew batch.
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna fire you for that. But if you're goofing
for mass consumption,
30 kegs worth of beer, like that hurts.
Somebody come to you and say, "Yeah, this is not the same one that I had before."
Yeah, I don't like it when accountants yell
So,
at me.
but now he's brought in a case, and I've got a press release from the guys over at Guam Brewery talking about excellent reviews on a couple of flavors that they've got, of many flavors that have been brewed over at the Guam Brewery. Have we distilled it down to just two that you're going to concentrate on right now or these days?
Yeah, so we're just leading with these two right now. We've actually, so if you tried the beer in the past, disregard all that. I've changed everything.
Really?
Yeah, it's a completely different beer than it was before. So we're using a lot of like in the IPA, we're using a lot of these really cool new school hops like Citra and Mosaic that are just if you want to make a world-class IPA, you got to use those hops. And then
let's back up here, because there's lots of different kinds of beers and lots of different ways that we describe beer. But an IPA is a specific animal in the beer family, the IPA India Pale Ale, and a little bit about the history of that and why it is something that is a prized flavor today.
Well, first of all, it's like delicious. I mean, it's 70% of craft beer in the world is an IPA. And it's just this, like, you said it's a beast, like it's the beast.
The beast.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things that's really caught on because you can experiment along with it. It's got a lot of good flavors. I mean, the history of it is, depending on who you talk to. I mean, historians, all like to gripe at each other.
They talk about it over beer. The facts will change.
Yeah, so it was like originally, depending on who you talk to, brewed to be able to survive the trip from England to India because the hops inhibit growth of bacteria and all that. They also happen to be like really good.
Yes.
So I've tried a couple of like recreations of what that beer would be like, where like someone's like put it in a wooden barrel with a bunch of hops and like left it for months.
And
it's horrible, but it's definitely drinkable.
Yeah.
And it'd be a whole lot better than anything else you get.
Well, what made it horrible? Was it just that's the way beer was done back in the olden days? Was it cold enough? It got too hot, or what happened?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you leave a beer unrefrigerated in a wooden barrel for 6 months, if it's not something like an imperial stout, which are amazing in barrels, like an IPA, at least a modern IPA, is something you should drink fresh. Like it's never going to taste as good as the day it was canned.
Yeah,
it's going to taste pretty damn good for
a while, the foreseeable future.
But, man, there's nothing better than, like, a beer just right out of the break tank.
Well, which is one of the reasons why people went and were very, very happy when the Guam Brewery opened, was because all of a sudden, number one, we've got a beer that we can call our own. There is a Guam beer, but it isn't brewed on Guam. But these the stuff that comes out of Guam Brewery, there's a place out in Harmon right behind the old San Miguel Brewery from a long, long time ago, and that's where the quote, the magic happens with the Island IPA and the Guam Gold Cream Ale. More on that in just a second. So now the things that go into the IPA, the Island IPA, how much of that is actually from here?
The water. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been around the island much, but we don't grow a lot of hops and barley out here.
No, I keep trying to think. The guys are doing corn, and you might want to see if you can get with the guy that does the corn and see if there's something that you can do with that in the mix.
Yeah.
There's a guy right up the street from me. His name is Dennis Larson, and he has honey. He's got bees. He's a beekeeper, one of several beekeepers that we have here on Guam. And I don't know if there's a recipe that you've got in your head that might be able to use some of that local honey.
Sure. Yeah. I'm waiting to do a lot of the like cool seasonal stuff for a little bit because right now we're just pushing these two out in the market.
Right.
It's a whole lot easier to put beer into kegs because like with a can you got to get like label approval from the TTB, you got to get design, you got to get printed, you got to get shipped. But with a keg, I can just do whatever I want.
Stick it in a
throw
keg.
it in there, write the ABV on it, and whoop,
out the door.
Right out the door.
Yeah, boy, it's very cool stuff. How do you determine an ABV? I mean, the can says 6.2, and I go, okay, well, I guess it's 6.2. Is there a thing that you have over at the brewery that says this is how we get that number?
Yeah. It's the same way you measure anything with math. So we basically say we have a starting gravity and a finished gravity. So it's basically the starting and finishing gravity.
Joe, write this down.
Writing it down, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's you're measuring the density of the liquid.
Okay.
So when yeast go through, they're going to turn all those sugars into CO2, which is obviously going to disappear, and alcohol.
We'll burp it
so
out.
You just measure the density difference, and then do a little mathety math, and then you get your ABV.
Okay. And that's something that you can configure in the brewing process, or is it a surprise when you're making beer? I mean, do you know when you're starting up a recipe what about the alcohol content's going to be?
Well, I've been goofing with this stuff for a while now, and you always know just about. If it's a new recipe, you might be off by like a fraction of a percent here and there, depending on how your yeast performs and all that. But no, I've got it pretty much dialed in. So like the blonde ale is or the cream ale, is like it's exactly what it says on the label.
Right. But like I said, I mean, if you wanted to come up with something that's got higher octane on it or a lower lighter alcohol content, you could do that. You just adjust your recipes.
Yeah, you adjust how much malt is in the beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See, there's all this stuff that you got to keep in your head, and there is some science behind it, and it goes back thousands and thousands of years. And guys have been messing around with this kind of thing for an awful long time. So we talked about the Island IPA, and as I mentioned to him just before, and we've talked about this on the radio in the last couple of days. So I'm doing yard work outside, and I had not yet read the can. I mean, I knew it was an IPA, and IPA is not generally my first reach, but it was the stuff I had in the refrigerator that was coldest. And so I did some yard work, drink an IPA, do some more yard work, drink an IPA, do some more yard work, and before I know it, I've had 3 of these things, and I'm thinking, yeah, I was going to do some bush cut, I was going to be doing some chainsaw stuff, and I thought maybe today is not a good day to be working with sharp implements in the backyard. It just feels like it's a free ride on an ambulance to the place, because there is 6.2 in there in the Island IPA. 6.5.
Yeah.
6.5. All right. Yeah. So
that
even more.
0.3%. That's what did it to you.
It must have been, because normally I can hang. So the Island IPA, it's hard for me to describe the flavor of this. And as I said, usually IPAs aren't my first go-to because they are, in my mind, just a little bit bitter. And I'm kind of a sweet tooth drinker.
Yeah,
but I found that to be super accessible.
That's by design, brother.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just dial down the hoppiness in it. So you've got a threshold where you can say it's got enough so that we'll call it an IPA, but not enough to burn out your tongue or numb it out, right?
Yeah. So there's kind of like, well, there's a bunch of different ways to make an IPA. There's like 2 like major schools for it.
Okay.
So you've got like an East Coast IPA, which is like the new ones that are like the hazies that all the nerds like lose their mind over. And those are great. Like they're super like fruity and like juicy, and they're not
so
very
that's
bitter.
kind of man bun IPAs. Can we call them man bun IPAs?
Yeah,
Okay.
a bit like that.
So there's a lumberjack then IPA for real men with dirt under their nails.
West Coast IPA.
West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got a bit of a East Coast West Coast feud, which has never happened before, I don't think. And yeah, so those are like the older IPAs, like your Sierra Nevada makes a bunch of them. They were famous for them. Pliny from like Russian River and all that. Those are a West Coast IPA, and those are like more like piney and bitter. So basically, what I did with this IPA is kind of take the best of both worlds. Like, I still got a little bit of that bitterness to it, but I've got like some flaked oats and some flaked wheat in the malt bill to kind of like give it like a silkier, sort of smoother mouthfeel, sort of round out the hard edges.
But there's still a little bit of haze in there as well.
Yeah, there's a massive dry hop in there.
Yeah.
So I'm using 2.2 pounds of hops per barrel.
Right.
In the dry hop.
Hard to describe on the radio. It's something that when you try it, even and you might be one of the guys like me that go, well, maybe I'm thinking I might have something that's a little bit more lagery or something like that. But put your hands on one of these things, pour it into a glass, let it sit for just a second, watch some of the bubbles pop up, get some of the little bit of head going, and then just pound this thing down. I'm not one of these guys that is going to sip a beer. So usually that first couple of gulps takes it all the way home, and it's something.
Please do me a favor and take some time to smell it while you're drinking
Okay,
it.
let's just let it set for just a
There you
second.
go.
And then we got the Guam Gold Cream Ale. Where does the cream come from in this one? Because it was another one, and it's, in my mind, it's a little bit more. It was a very easy beer for me to snuggle up to. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's for. It's to crush by the pool or on the beach or while you're doing yard work, so you don't get too drunk to use a chainsaw.
It's okay.
But yeah, it's called cream ale because that comes from cream of the crop. So it's got corn in there and wheat and barley, which are the big three.
Yeah, Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and similar brewing processes between the two of them, the ale and the IPA.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple little differences. Like the cream ale, for example, is not dry hopped, which means I don't have to get up on a ladder and dump a bunch of hops into the top of the fermenter.
Are there temperature requirements? Because Guam is hot. How much of that the ambient temperature needs to be factored into when you're working with the brewing process?
Not a whole lot, because all the tanks they've got jackets on them that have coolant running through the jacket that keeps everything at like exactly the temperature that I want.
Yeah.
Which is great, but it also has been a pain in the butt because Guam.
We got cool electricity.
It's not kind to metal.
No.
So
there's a big door. You just keep it closed over at the brewing place, right?
No, this is the chiller unit. Had been outside for a while, and
Well, if ever run into problems with that, because this is a Guam product now, and I believe it has all Guam product seals on it. So what you might be able to do with this is if your chillers go out, call the Guam Army National Guard, and see if they can bring one by for you to specifically keep that place.
I got it all fixed now.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily, like 80% of my job is just staring, like swearing at
swearing or staring
at machines. Yeah, staring and swearing. Yeah.
So once upon a time, there was a Guam brewery, and there was a restaurant in Tumon that I could go to drink the beer that came out of the Guam brewery and to eat some chow. COVID-19 did a number on that business and many others in the area.
Oh, yeah,
and so I think it's closed. Are you aware, Brewmaster, of any plans that the boss may have of scaling another facility like that, another restaurant/bar kind of resto thing going?
It would be really cool. This is the worst time in the history of the planet to open a bar, so we're just kind of wait and see how things go for a while.
Right. But now there's that, and now the Guam brewery. These products are available virtually island-wide. And that was one of the things. It wasn't just that we wanted to brew beer so that we could serve it in our own restaurant. We want to make it so that you can go to Payless, among other places, and get your hands on the beer. So tell me a little bit about that distribution story from out of Harmon then to everywhere else. How's that work?
Yeah. So we've got our stuff in the grocery stores and some of the gas stations now as well. I just make the stuff. I don't sell it, so I don't know exactly where all it is. We can call our sales guy.
Well, I know the sales guys, and we might want to ask them some questions about it. Now, if I'm buying the beer at say the gas stations, Payless, whatever, what should I be looking for? I mean, is there something on the can? Is there like a born-on date? Are there indicators there on when this thing was brewed and how long it's been in the chiller at the store? We got any of those indicator storytellers on that?
We're getting that soon. I've got that piece of equipment on order. It'll print the date on the label right now. But as of right now, none of these beers are over 3 or 4 weeks old.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you're the guy that's brewing it, so you get the call and say, okay, we're out of beer over at the Payless, and crank out some more cans so we can take them over there. Definitely. So you know what your churn is and what you're actually storing in the facility. Yeah. And my recollection is from being in there, there's not a lot of storage.
I've got about 1,000 cases of beer in the cooler.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can't fit a single other one in there.
Yeah. Well, it didn't seem to me that it was that part of the facility was as big. I was at the grand opening back in what I like to refer to.
Oh, you're talking about the tap house.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the production facilities. Is
a little bit more.
Yeah, you should come by, hang out. I'll show you how everything works.
The last time I was there I was there for a long time. It was kind of let's try this, and a about every 5 minutes, somebody came out and said, "Have you tried this beer? Have you tried this beer?" So is it just these two that you're working on right now, or are there other cans of the other flavors?
This is all that's available right now. Definitely working on some fun stuff for the future. There's a bunch of like seasonals we want to do.
Yeah,
a bunch
as
of,
you said.
cool one-offs.
So one of the, and I don't know how much of the philosophy has changed from where we are now, the old brewmaster, the old business plan to where the new business plan or the adjusted business plan is. But it's all new.
Yeah,
all new.
Everything. Yeah.
All right. So one of the original ideas from the guys that I was talking to with the Guam Brewery was that they wanted to kind of make something that weren't really trying to reinvent the wheel. If you like Budweiser, there's going to be a flavor that you'd be able to, as you say, crush on. If you like Bud Light, then there's going to be this. If you like something with a little bit more of an Asian feel, maybe if you want something that's a little bit more bitter, but more pedestrian versions of the beers. And I'm beginning to get the sense that, yeah, that was interesting back then, but maybe some of the other flavors that we're working on are going to be some that will be somewhat challenging to the beer consumer.
No. I can make a great lager. I've got a Great American Beer Festival medal for a Pilsner I made.
Right.
And I can do it.
So so we're still kind of going down a little bit of the middle of the road when it comes to the flavors here. So you want it to be something that people are accessible to. Is that the?
Yeah.
Okay, so the answer is yes on everything. So if I came to you and said, "Do me a favor, Andrew, I got a friend of mine in Hong Kong, and she's crazy about the sours. Could you do a killer sour?"
There's already one in the works, man.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, but why? Can I ask that question? Why? Why sours? Can I? Oh, it's like I'm drinking it. It's already spoiled. What is it with the sours? I'm sorry. Okay. So did they tell you I'm a girly beer drinker? I'm not one of those guys that really challenges my palate all the time. So when somebody comes to me and says you got to try this, and it's open it up and go, wow, I think it's already gone bad. And they say, no, it's a sour, dude. It's the next big thing.
It's like anything. There's different strokes for different folks, man. Yeah. So like I actually do enjoy sours, like especially lambics, and like it's a style out of Belgium. It's like literally everything you take about brewing beer, like staying clean and like all that. Just take that and just throw it away. Just throw it away completely. And like it's just fermented with whatever kind of like yeast and bacteria is in the air. Whatever falls in, that's what falls in, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Right. And then they age them in barrels for years like wine, and like they'll continue to grow and develop for a decade.
That's amazing to me.
And those are just such beautiful sours, man. It's absolutely amazing.
It's almost a religious experience watching him talk about beer, and that to me is more meaningful than anything else. Is just how much passion goes into it, and how much individuality there can be put into beer. There's we talk about anything. You talk about the radio and music and whatever. There's 5 notes on a scale, but it's how you put all of those different notes together to create something that is unique. And I'm thinking that you've got that. You've kind of got that vibe going with you, and then you add that to the unique environment that we've got around here, and as you say, what's in the air, and how is that going to contribute to the flavor of the beer?
So you were mentioning like something that's like crushable and all that. So that when I was brewing in Hawaii, I was brewing for a brewery down there, and that's where I got that Great American Beer Festival medal.
Yeah,
it's really funny. So that award-winning beer, made a whole bunch of it, didn't sell at all, right? So I had about 20 kegs worth in a tank, and I was like, I just need to get this out of here. I'm going on vacation.
Yeah.
Got a whole bunch of pineapple juice, added that, went on vacation. I came back, and they're like, hey, you know that beer that sold absolutely horribly?
Yeah.
Like, it's been #1 all week. Like, you have to brew it again right now. And I was like,
get some more pineapple.
I wanted an award for this, and you really wanted fruit juice.
Yeah. Well, okay. So can we talk about that? There seems to be, and I don't know whether it was the Man Bun guys that got everything started, but there, it was once upon a time beer was beer, and we don't fruit the beer. Corona comes along, we put lime in there, and then they said, well, why bother putting an actual lime in the beer? We'll just make that part of the brewing process. and then they go from limes, now we get lemons, and there's strawberries, and there's more of a fruity flavor that has gone into what people are referring to as beers these days. And I'm wondering, from the perspective of a brewmaster, is that a good thing? Do you guys look at that like saying, you can't put fruit in the beers, and there's no spam in the what do you call that, sushi? No spam in sushi and no fruit in beer. How much of a purist are you that way?
I'm a bit of a nihilist. Like everything's meaningless, and we're all gonna die. Like do whatever you want.
Right.
Honestly. If it makes you happy, then go for it.
Yeah,
And
it sounds like it's something we should name the Rick and Morty ale or something like that. It's just we're all gonna die. It doesn't matter. And here's a beer to enjoy while you wait for the inevitable.
I might be a nihilist, but I don't want to get sued by Dan Harmon.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you got the reference because I think that's groovy. 9:33 in the morning. His name is Andrew Brunson. And
yeah.
now, where'd you say you were originally from?
Originally from the West. So I grew up in Illinois and then went down to Kentucky to go to university. And then since then, I did beer and bourbon out there. Then moved to Hawaii, helped with the brewery out there. Then I was in Jordan brewing beer in the Middle East. And then just recently, I was in Vietnam. I also was down in Australia for a bit.
Well, that's crazy. And all of these different places that you're talking about, all kinds of different beer flavors.
Oh, yeah. Totally different vibes.
Tell me about Jordan.
It's cool, man.
Middle Eastern beer vibe. Tell me about it. Tell me about this.
Well, so there's just one other macro brewery that had been there since the 70s. So Caracal opened up. Yazin Karache, who's the guy out there. He went to school out in Colorado and was like, "This is awesome! Like, why don't we have
make beer?"
And it was absolutely nuts because it's a Muslim country in the Middle East, so it's hard, obviously. But so there's a whole bunch of really weird rules about stuff that like the brewery had to be in this one town because it was specifically a Christian town, and so they would allow it. And man, it's nuts. But traveling around Jordan was really cool. I mean, it's something. There's a place that I never thought I'd work.
Yeah.
So, for example, down south, there's this place called Wadi Rum. Did you ever see The Martian with Matt Damon in it?
Real Joe, I have.
Yeah, you have.
Real Joe says I have.
Or the new Star Wars as well. They filmed it down there in that desert.
I'll be
It's
darned.
crazy, man. It looks like Mars. The sand is bright red. And hiking around is absolutely amazing. They've got all these slot canyons down near the Dead Sea and stuff like that.
Right.
And then you just be walking around, and you got to think, like, okay, the Neolithic revolution happened here. There's just, like, ancient things laying around.
Yeah.
Like, I was on a hike one time, and I lost the trail, and I climb up on these rocks trying to find it, and I realize I'm standing on the remains of a Neolithic tomb. Just because they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
And farmers just kind of plow around them, and...
Well, and here's the history and culture are intertwined with beer wherever you go. It is among the first things that anybody will do when they're exploring some new place is look around, fruits, vegetables, something that I might be able to ferment and turn into something that I can drink. That's the first thing that we come up with. There are stories there's a tin can, a Japanese tin can that got blown out of the water by the Americans towards the end of the Second World War up on one of the islands. I want to say it's Punzelin or something like that up north, and a bunch of these guys survived the sinking of their ship, made their way to this island, and they're on the island. First thing that they tried to figure out how to do. Never mind food or shelter. First thing that we've got to do is we got to find a way to ferment something around here so that we can make alcohol, and then we'll work on shelter, and then we'll work on food. And they figured out how to make something from coconuts and putting some sugars in coconuts, leaving them out in the sun for a while, and then pretty soon you come back and you got something that'll get you squiffy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's been with humanity for forever. So actually, there's a place in Turkey. Unfortunately, didn't get to make it out to that part of Turkey called Göbekli Tepe, and it's right there during like the Paleolithic. When, like we didn't really think human beings had this kind of organization.
Yeah,
it's like 5,000 or 6,000 years older than the Stonehenge. Like it's old, and they found these vessels with calcium oxalate in it, also known as beer stone. It's a huge pain in the butt, but
Beer
it's
stone.
very, very stable. So this is 10,000 years ago, and they're finding evidence of brewing.
Mm.
And then there's also evidence of human beings climbing trees in the rainy season to drink fermented honey out of the hollows of trees.
I'm of the opinion that the brewing process saved humanity. The fact that you've got to boil water in order to make something clean enough and good enough to be able to ferment in made it so that most people were able to survive. Some pretty dark times in history. There has always been beer.
There's a really good example of a style. It's from Germany called a Goes. Have you ever had one?
I don't know.
So originally they were brewed for farmhands because it's slightly salty, and originally they were only like 1% or 2% alcohol. So you essentially have like a medieval Gatorade at that point. 'Cause it's got electrolytes, you know.
I'm digging this conversation.
It's 2% alcohol.
I don't know. It sounds like something you could give kids, and for breakfast. Here, have this. Kind of keep the temperature at the same. Is there a holy grail for brewmasters? Is there something that is just there, yet unattainable? Is there a flavor that you're looking for? Is there something that plays around in your head and going, all right, if I had the time, if I had the equipment, if we had the technology that you could brew?
No, not really. See, that's the thing I really like about beer. It's there's definitely, compared to like other types of alcohol, like wine or like whiskey.
Yeah.
Like there's a pretty big instant gratification involved in it. So like this IPA, if I wanted to brew a different IPA, I'd be able to have it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like you got to think like a vintner. I mean, if you're a vintner for your adult life, you only get so many harvests. You really got to think like a vintner from his adult life till he dies is only going to make wine 30 times.
Right.
Like,
but you can do this.
I can make 30 beers in a month.
Yeah. So it's now, but I am a technophile. You can tell by looking around the building. I got all this technology surrounding me here.
I know.
To what degree is technology being used these days? I mean, we're talking about you're talking about once upon a time out in the cradle of civilization where they stick this in a pot and you put you got hot water here and then you come back to it 3 weeks later and
pray
you
to
got
the gods.
Pray to the gods, and then pretty soon you've got something that's sort of beer that you can drink. Okay, so that's the old clay pot way of doing things.
Yeah.
And now here we are, stainless steel and air-conditioned tubing running around and digital technology. Is there an app for brewing beer? Is there something I can get on my phone? Have we gotten to that stage yet?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here's the thing. Like, yeah, there's all these techniques and like all of that, and it does because like ancient beer probably was not that good, at least compared to what we can do now. Because we have, stainless steel tanks, and jackets, and all that. But the basic ideas are still the same. So granted, this isn't like, the 1200s where, for example, God was actually listed as an ingredient because they didn't know what yeast was.
Yeah.
They had no idea. They're like,
Divine
God does
intervention.
something or other, and then now I'm drunk, as it happens. But, the basic concepts, the basic ideas are still the same. We can just do them a whole lot more precisely.
Yeah, and efficiently as well. 9:40 in the morning. If you don't mind, just one more question. On the other side of the break, I want to ask you a question about home brewing. I know this is a commercial venture, and we don't want you to home brew. We want you to come and buy our stuff. You can find it at Payless and at the gas station. Okay, well, so when I come back, I'm going to ask you about what I would need. Is there a place I can go, Amazon.com, and say, get me a home brewing kit, but I don't want a Mr. Beer. What's the next level up from there, and what should I do with something like that? So we'll continue the conversation. Andrew Brunson from Guam Brewery in the studios, the new brewmaster out there. While you're listening, hopefully you're getting a little bit thirsty and you want to try some of this stuff out. It's available practically everywhere. They did give me a list, and I might read it to you on the other side of these messages. Top End Pest Control is who you call for all your pest control needs. Got a problem with roaches, ants, spiders, rodents, fleas, ticks, termites? No problem. They do it all. Top End Pest Control is a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business and HubZone certified, serving Guam since 2012. Call them today for a quote, 487-5657, or email topendpest@gmail.com. Check them out on Facebook at Top End Pest Control and give them a like. Top End Pest Control for all your pest control needs.
Hafide, this is Kayla from APL Guam. Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated team in Guam and the U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit apl.com.
Chili's has a dinner deal you can't miss. Enjoy a tasty appetizer, 2 bottomless Coca-Cola beverages, and 2 mouth-watering entrees, all for just $35. Treat yourself to entree options like our fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs, personal fajita with chicken, or the ultimate bacon burger. Chili's, 2 for $35. Available daily from 3 p.m. to closing for patio dining or takeout. Chili's is located on the 2nd floor of the Tuman Sands Plaza. Call 648-7377 to place your takeout order today. With Chili's, you can still savor the moment at home.
It's 9:43 in the morning. 888-255-88-TALK is the telephone number. And now, if for you that are thinking, yeah, you know, I don't want to go through the time, trouble, and expense and actual work of making my own beer, I'm okay with whatever everybody else is drinking. And where can I find the Island IPA and the Guam Gold Cream Ale? Virtually everywhere. As if we were saying, we're talking about, interviewing artists, wherever records are sold. Beverage distributors have fresh to retail outlets island-wide. It says we've got them at Payless Supermarket, Circle K, Foodies, ABC stores, and Kmart, and many more are saying, yeah, I'm hearing how good this stuff is, and I'd like it to be made available to my customers as well. Some restaurants are moving the product, so you should be able to, next time you walk in someplace. Sorry, we're not walking into places anymore. Stupid COVID. The next time that you sit down outside at a restaurant and you're thinking about something cold and refreshing, I would definitely suggest, and I've got some of this at the house, and delighted that he brought another case for me that I might share with some folks, the Guam Gold Cream Ale and the Island IPA. Now, that the commercial is over, if I was to get back into the process, because it's just me, a bachelor at the house, I got plenty of room, and the only thing I've got in the refrigerator right now is a turkey. At the end of Thanksgiving, that turkey is going to be cooked, and it'll be just leftovers, occupying a lot less space in the refrigerator, and I might be able to use that as a second fermentation location for something that I might create. So if I were to get back into home brewing, where do I start? What equipment, what technology, what toys do I need?
And I would say the cheapest way. You want the cheapest way to get into it and make something.
But I'd like it to have some quality behind. The Mr. Beer is a piece of plastic.
Yeah, it's a toy.
It's a toy, and you can recreate that literally with a water jug. It's about the same. You pour everything in, and you close it up, and you put it someplace dark, and then come back 3 weeks later, and then pretty soon you've got something you can work on. But I'm talking about give me the copper pot stainless steel. Where do I go to buy? I mean, is there like a Home Depot?
Definitely, actually, that's where I was going to say. That's where I got my first homebrew.
Dude, I was totally kidding about that. Really?
Yeah. So those big kind of Gatorade coolers. One of those. Get a turkey burner, and then I can put together a little list of plumbing parts.
Wait, like a turkey burner, turkey fryer thing?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
That was my first homebrew setup, man. Yeah.
So what about the ingredients? Where do I get the ingredients? Because as you point out, there's no hop farm, no barley place that I can go to. I can get Calrose rice at the store. I don't know how much that goes into the brewing process.
I got your back, man. Don't worry about it.
Are there
so you can order like sacks of grain and stuff like that. But if you want to get back into the hobby, man, I'll lend you a sack of grain.
Why not? I mean, just to get started here. But then we come down to it's like talking to guys about reloading guns, right? A gun guy? You gun guy at all?
No.
Dude, you got to come out with this. We got what we call the Points Pandemic Pew Pew, and it's a Black Sunday edition this weekend over at the PD Range. You don't even need a gun. We'll just
it's too loud, man.
Well, we get there's things that you put in your ears, but anyway, so everybody's
You screw around with a bow and arrow, man. I'm super down.
I know people. I know people that do that. So I'm sorry. Just quick whipping around in a couple of different subjects. I got a friend and her husband. Their goal is to be 100-miler diet people. So their plan is they only eat food that they can find that's grown or is huntable within a 100-mile radius. So they go out there and bow hunt all the time for deer and pig. And they know how to dress it, bring it home, dress it, and cut it to pieces, and either give it away to their friends or stick it in a freezer or something like that. So they're eating as much local as they possibly can.
Giving it away to their friends, it sounds like I should be friends with them.
No, they're very, very cool people. But they also know where to find the gizmos, and they go out there and they do a lot of bow hunting. And so if you're down for that, then yeah, I might be able to see if I can hook you up with them. But anyway, going back to the point here. So it's all right. So you say I'll give you nuts and grains for your homebrewed ear deal. And eventually I'm going to say, hey, those were nice. Those hot pellets were nice. Good practices. And if as you say, we're talking about a round igloo cooler and a turkey frying setup or something like that versus somebody that went out and bought a $4,000 setup. There's no reason why the quality of the output would be all that different, right?
As long as you're watching your temperature control during fermentation, you're making sure everything's clean, and you're following a couple of good guidelines, then yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. Now you were telling the story about being in Hawaii and you've got the award winner and it wasn't selling.